ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ. ಗುಡ್ ಮಾರ್ನಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಆಲ್. ಅಂತಾರಾಷ್ಟ್ರೀಯ ಕರಾವಳಿ ಸ್ವಚ್ಛತಾ ದಿನ, ಇಂಟರ್ನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್ ಕೋಸ್ಟಲ್ ಕ್ಲೀನಪ್ ಡೇ, ಇದರ ಅಂಗವಾಗಿ ಸ್ವಚ್ಛ ಕರಾವಳಿ ಸುರಕ್ಷಿತ ಸಾಗರ ಎಂಬ ಕೇಂದ್ರ ವಿಷಯದ ಮೇಲೆ 2 ದಿನಗಳ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮವನ್ನು ಕೇಂದ್ರ ಸರ್ಕಾರದ ಭೂವಿಜ್ಞಾನ ಸಚಿವಾಲಯ, ನವದೆಹಲಿಯ ವಿಜ್ಞಾನ ಪ್ರಸಾರ, ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ ವಿಜ್ಞಾನ ಮತ್ತು ತಂತ್ರಜ್ಞಾನ ಇಲಾಖೆ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು ಹಾಗೂ ಕುತೂಹಲಿ ಸ್ಕೋಪ್ ಮೈಸೂರು ಇವರ ಸಂಯುಕ್ತಾಶ್ರಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಪಿಲಿಕುಲ ಪ್ರಾದೇಶಿಕ ವಿಜ್ಞಾನ ಕೇಂದ್ರದಲ್ಲಿ ಹಮ್ಮಿಕೊಳ್ಳಲಾಗಿದೆ. ನಿನ್ನೆ ಇದರ ಉದ್ಘಾಟನೆಗೊಂಡು ಪ್ರೌಢಶಾಲಾ ವಿದ್ಯಾರ್ಥಿಗಳಿಗೆ ವಿವಿಧ ಸ್ಪರ್ಧೆಗಳನ್ನು ಏರ್ಪಡಿಸಲಾಗಿತ್ತು. ಇಂದು ಕಾಲೇಜು ವಿದ್ಯಾರ್ಥಿಗಳಿಗೆ ಕೇಂದ್ರ ವಿಷಯದ ಮೇಲೆ ಉಪನ್ಯಾಸ ಹಾಗೂ ರಸಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮವನ್ನು ಹಮ್ಮಿಕೊಳ್ಳಲಾಗಿದೆ. ಈ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮಕ್ಕೆ ನಮ್ಮೊಂದಿಗೆ ಮುಖ್ಯ ಅತಿಥಿಗಳು, ಗಣ್ಯಮಾನ್ಯರು ಆಗಮಿಸಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು ವೇದಿಕೆ ಮೇಲೆ ಆಸೀನರಾಗಬೇಕಾಗಿ ವಿನಂತಿಸಿಕೊಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೇನೆ. ಈ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮಕ್ಕೆ ನಮ್ಮೊಂದಿಗೆ ಮುಖ್ಯ ಅತಿಥಿಗಳಾಗಿ ಶ್ರೀಯುತ ಎಸ್ ಬಾಬು ವೆಂಕಟೇಶ್, DIG, ಇಂಡಿಯನ್ ಕೋಸ್ಟ್ ಗಾರ್ಡ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಕಮಾಂಡರ್ ಆಫ್ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ, ಇವರಿಗೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಸಂಸ್ಥೆಯ ಪರವಾಗಿ ನಿಮ್ಮೆಲ್ಲರ ಪರವಾಗಿ ಆತ್ಮೀಯವಾಗಿ ಸ್ವಾಗತಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. ಇನ್ನೋರ್ವ ಅತಿಥಿಗಳಾಗಿ ನಮ್ಮೊಂದಿಗೆ ಶ್ರೀಯುತ ಕೊಳ್ಳೇಗಾಲ್ ಶರ್ಮಾ ಸರ್, ಖ್ಯಾತ ವಿಜ್ಞಾನ ಸಂವಹನಕಾರರು, ಹಿರಿಯ ವಿಜ್ಞಾನಿಗಳು, ಇವರಿಗೂ ನಮ್ಮ ಸಂಸ್ಥೆಯ ಪರವಾಗಿ ಹೃತ್ಪೂರ್ವಕವಾದ ಸ್ವಾಗತವನ್ನು ಕೋರುತ್ತಿದ್ದೇನೆ. ನಮ್ಮ ಕೇಂದ್ರದ ನಿರ್ದೇಶಕರು, ಈ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮದ ಎಲ್ಲ ರೂವಾರಿಗಳಾದ ಶ್ರೀಯುತ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ KV ರಾವ್, ಇವರಿಗೂ ನಿಮ್ಮೆಲ್ಲರ ಪರವಾಗಿ ಆತ್ಮೀಯವಾದ ಸ್ವಾಗತ. ಮುಂದಿನ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮದಲ್ಲಿ ಉಪನ್ಯಾಸ ಹಾಗೂ ರಸಪ್ರಶ್ನೆಗಳನ್ನು ನಡೆಸಿಕೊಡಲು ನಮ್ಮೊಂದಿಗೆ ಸಂಪನ್ಮೂಲ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿಗಳಾಗಿ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಅನೀಶ್ ಕುಮಾರ್ ವಾರಿಯರ್ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಇವರಿಗೂ ನಿಮ್ಮೆಲ್ಲರ ಪರವಾಗಿ ಹೃದಯದ ಸ್ವಾಗತ. ಈ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮದ ಕೇಂದ್ರ ಬಿಂದುಗಳಾದ ಎಲ್ಲ ಸಂತ ಅಲೋಸಿಯಸ್ ಕಾಲೇಜ್ ಮಂಗಳೂರು, ಇಂದಿರಾ ನರ್ಸಿಂಗ್ ಕಾಲೇಜ್ ಮಂಗಳೂರು, ಶ್ರೀನಿವಾಸ್ BEd ಕಾಲೇಜ್, ಶ್ರೀನಿವಾಸ್ ಇಂಜಿನಿಯರಿಂಗ್ ಕಾಲೇಜ್, ಇವರೆಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಆತ್ಮೀಯವಾದ ಸ್ವಾಗತ. ಅದೇ ರೀತಿ ಇವರೆಲ್ಲ ಕರೆತಂದ ಎಲ್ಲ ಅಧ್ಯಾಪಕರಿಗೂ ಆತ್ಮೀಯವಾದ ಸ್ವಾಗತವನ್ನು ಕೋರುತ್ತಿದ್ದೇನೆ. ಈ ಒಂದು ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮ ಉದ್ದೇಶಿಸಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಮುಖ್ಯ ಅತಿಥಿಗಳಾದ ಶ್ರೀಯುತ ಎಸ್ ಬಾಬು ವೆಂಕಟೇಶ್ವರ್ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮ ಉದ್ದೇಶಿಸಿ 2 ಮಾತುಗಳನ್ನು ಆಡಬೇಕಾಗಿ ವಿನಂತಿಸಿಕೊಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ.
A very happy morning. I'll start my the language in English itself because I understand Kannada, but speaking in Kannada is a slightly difficult problem for me. It's not that I cannot speak, but it's slightly conversing is slightly going to difficult, or you might take it in a different tone and tenor of me. Having considered that, the highest dignitaries.
Government order is that you have to use Kannada. That's why we use Kannada.
That's great. So if anybody wants a little bit of translation in Kannada, I do have Jagannath with me. He will do translation, or I will also try and support him in terms and terminologies which I'm going to use it. And having said that, a very happy morning to one and all, and I'm so happy to see all the younger college students. So am I also a student, because I continue to remain as a student for the last 53 years. Having said that, the dignitaries over the dais, Dr. KV Rao, Dr. ಕೊಳ್ಳೇಗಾಲ್ Sharma sir, and Dr. Anish Warrior, and we have got other dignitaries, learned scholars over here, and I'm so happy to be as part of this organization and addressing you all on the clean coast and safer oceans for us. I would like to say that India has got a long coastline of 7,500 kilometers. This coastline is it's a vast coastline. And having said that, around all the district headquarters, basically we have got the coastal district headquarters around all the states. The longest coastline in India is Gujarat, which is at about 1,500 kilometers, and subsequently we have Tamil Nadu, which is at about closer to about 985, and then we have third in the row is the coast of Andhra Pradesh. And of course, Karnataka is at about 170 nautical miles, and the Indian Coast Guard, which was formed in the year 1st February 1978. And we are 45 years plus, and we have responsibility for the coastal security of India and the nation's security as well. And the most important thing is that the maritime community, you must have heard about something called the SLOCs. SLOCs is nothing but the sea lanes of communication, or it's also called the sea lines of communication, where you'll find the world global trade, which is at about 90% in volume and 70% in trade volumes also. It's traveling through the seas. And the future business is only at about containers. Why I'm saying containers, you will stop seeing all these bulk cargo ships and you'll find only the containers which is coming. I'm sure you must have heard of the Suez Canal, where we had recently, in the last year, in March, we had an incident where Evergreen ran aground. So the ships are growing in multiple size, and when the ships are growing in multiple size, it's closer to more than at about 20,000 plus TUs. We call this as TEUs. It's called the 20 equivalent units. So that is the tonnage of the ship. As the ship size grows, so is the requirement of the infrastructure. When the infrastructure requirement grows, we also need to think. We need to have the future, the future citizens, the bright students like you, in order to think positively, whether it's thinking good, thinking bad. At the same time, whatever you sow, your thoughts comes from a source. Where is the source coming from? The source comes from your own thoughts. So you need to encourage yourself and motivate yourself and try to propel yourself ahead, and then take on to the responsibilities of getting to the better road connectivity, the port connectivity, and so on and so forth, including the science and technology, which we are part of this organization as well. Having said that, the responsibility of the Indian Coast Guard is we extend from the coastline of 5 miles and moving up to about 200 nautical miles. 1 nautical mile is approximately 2 kilometers, so approximately about 400 kilometers we extend ourselves to the western seaboard and the eastern seaboard. And the entire EEZ, we call it as exclusive economic zone, which is at about 200 nautical miles from the coastline, and this extends for the Indian EEZ is at about 2.01 square million kilometers. This is what is my area. And subsequently, we got something called the ISRR. It's called the Indian Search Rescue Region, which extends at about 4.01 square million kilometers. And the responsibility of the Coast Guard is in multiples, and we are equally responsible for the maritime community and the fraternity which is applying into the seas. And subsequently, we are also responsible for whenever the ships are moving in the sea, there are chances of pumping out the bilges, oil pollution happens, and so on and so forth. Now, if you look at the coastline, which is at about 7,500 kilometers of Indian coast, it has got so many villages, and all those villages are dependent by the fishermen community. They are the major source of economic growth for our country. And if that is the case, and if you start polluting the marine ocean, it's going to cause a lot of problems, because what you put is what you get back. It is something like what happened in tsunami. Whatever you threw out at sea, and then it pushed you backwards into the shore. So this situation should not happen. Why it should not happen? Because we have got a habit of throwing out all those plastics and so on and so forth, and mucking up all the coastline, including the sea. All this happens. Why? Because we have become irresponsible. I mean, we don't respect ourselves. We don't respect our society. We don't also respect our system, the environment. If you have a concept of the inbuilt sense of responsibility and accountability in order to protect the marine environment, then you should be a good citizen. I did learn a lot from my daughter. She's Dr. Priyanka Venkatesh, and when she was a kiddo, at about 1.5 years, I remember that I was just trying to throw a chocolate wrapper outside my car. She made me stop. She made me pick up. So that's what you need to learn from the kids also. So am I, and so on the forth. And it's what give and take responsibility. We need to learn from us, and we need to learn from you. It's an equal shared responsibility and accountability in order to protect the marine environment. Why am I saying this? Because whatever the pollution which is happening at sea in terms of the plastic, unwanted plastics, unwanted debris which is happening, and the unwanted oil pollution, what happens? It is being consumed by whom? It's consumed by the fishes, the species, the water species. Then what is happening to the water species? You need to consume. The fishermen fishing boats goes and they bring back the fishes, and what happens to those fishes? You're going to consume. Who's consuming? It's a human value. The human chain is consuming. So what are you consuming? You're consuming none other than pollution. So either we can all become vegetarian, which is very difficult. I'm vegetarian, so I don't eat fish or non-veg or anything. But still, I have respect for the marine environment. Why is it important that we need to develop a community of ourselves in order to protect ourselves, at the same time protect the sea environment, so that we have a clean coastline, at the same time we have a clean marine environment where the serene beauty you need to enjoy. Because when you have if you have a clear marine environment, what's going to happen? You will have a lot of fishermen fishing boats going. When the fishing boats go, they catch fishes. When they come back, it's again sold. And what happens? Trade, employability is there, the economic growth is there, the cultures are there. And these fishermen are also used as eyes and ears for the Indian Coast Guard, because whenever you find any anti-national elements flying around in and around our Indian waters, they're also informing me or us in terms of the protection for the nation's security. So we need to have the respite and the respect in order to protect our own environment, which can only happen if we involve ourselves as a community. If this doesn't happen, we are going to, if we start abusing day by day, if you find in and around Bangalore, or if you must have recently heard about the social abuse, the infrastructure abuse which has happened in and around Bangalore, and the water has to flow. It has its own natural flow. It has to start. If it rains, it has to come down. The rain droplets have to come down. When it droplets comes down at as a cloud burst, the water has to go. And if you start interrupting the water flow, then it multiples the force, and that is going to create a havoc. So is the sea, because the sea environment is required, because we need a good climatic condition. If you start polluting the entire sea, the evaporation doesn't happen. When the evaporation doesn't happen, what happens? You'll not have the precipitation. When you don't have the precipitation, what happens? You're not going to get the rains. When you're not going to get the rains, what happens? Our agriculture gets stopped. Then we are trying to go in for artificial rains. Why? Again, it's again chemicals. So why we should abuse the environment? Why can't we think ourselves? Why can't we be responsible citizen and a citizen ourselves, and then try to give the best to the society? Every individual, if you all think as an individual, and if you have a collective group, the hall consists of close at about 300 people over here. If that's the case, if every individual thought process is going to change the environment, the change in attitude, the change in attitude towards respecting the society, the respecting the environment. If you do that, I'm sure we all together as a collective effort, we can bring in the change to the entire global. If this happens, we are going to have the best of what we can have. Having said that, I will just tell you briefly about the Indian Coast Guard. Indian Coast Guard was formed on the 1st of February 1978. It's 45 years plus. We got almost 5 regional headquarters. Our Coast Guard headquarters is at Delhi, New Delhi, and we've got 5 regional headquarters, namely the Northeast as Calcutta, we got East as Chennai, and Northwest is Gandhinagar, and Western is Mumbai. The entire coast of 7,500 kilometers is divided into 16 districts. When I say 16 districts, it means every coastal state will have one headquarters. Like I'm commanding the headquarters number 3, Karnataka. I'm responsible for the Karnataka coastline. I'm also the boss for the Coast Guard Karnataka state. I take care of all the marine activities, keep the coast away from any drug infringement, and then avoid any anti-national elements coming into the waters, protect our coastline of coastal Karnataka in order to keep them safe so that the public are safe. And this is my moral responsibility. Apart from that, I've got certain responsibility towards the nation's security, which we are 24/7. Having said that, we have got about 42 Coast Guard stations which are encompassed within the strait. And as on date, by 2025, we are expecting ourselves to be a force to reckon with, a force of 200 ships and at about 100 aircrafts. As on date, we are having close at about 172 ships and at about closer to about 70 aircrafts. By 2025, our target is to reach 200 plus 100 air assets. This is our vision, and thereafter, we'll be really well off. And we've got multiple platforms. We've got ships. We have got various kinds of ships. It's called the Advanced Offshore Patrol Vessel. We've got offshore patrol vessel, the fast patrol vessel. We've got the INFACs, the fast attack crafts. We've got the interceptor boats. We've got the interceptor crafts. We've got air cushion vehicles. We've got the Coast Guard Dorniers. We've got the ALH. It's called the Advanced Light Helicopters. We've got the Chetaks, which are single engine helicopters, and so on and so forth. And having said that, this the youngsters should put into you should put in your best foot forward in order to join the defense forces also. And the basic idea for joining for the defense forces is you need to be an undergrad in any degree. And for joining Coast Guard, if you wanted to be a pilot, you need to have a science background. If you want to be an executive cadre, it's just a normal undergrad. Any type of undergrad is more than enough. And the service selection procedures are very strict, and we have got something, we try to identify the officer-like qualities, and then we got a stage of, two stage of interviews, which consist of the pre-selection board and then the final selection board, and then we got an interview section also, which will run at about 10 days. And this is what I would like to convey. And I'm indebted to Dr. Rao sir for having invited me and trying to share my thought process about the protection of the marine environment. Me being myself as an environmentalist for the last 30 years. I'm into this role and role of job which I'm doing. I take pride in protection of my state as well as the coastline wherever I have served. It was always an endeavor to give the best to the state, so that we need to create an awareness for a cleaner and a safe oceans, so that we have a lovely planet to live in and enjoy the serene beauty. Thank you very much, and I'm open to any questions by the youngsters crowd. Thank you very much. What's a mic or something like that? You can shoot out questions on my role, responsibility, whatever you want. I would make it a point that I'll answer the questions.
I have a question.
Yes, sir, most certainly.
For your area vehicles, you have a independent airport, or
Yeah, we do have independent airport also. We've got something called the Coast Guard Air Station. Like I have got independent airport like Daman. We have got in Tuticorin, in Mangalore we have got. But Mangalore, as of now, there's a problem of hangarage facility, which I'm working on the construction part, and that will take about 2 years, and then we'll be getting 4 Dorniers, and we'll get an ALH also, depending upon, at that point of time, we'll have to see the strategic requirement, because it all depends upon what type of a strategy is required for aerial assets. Accordingly, it will be placed. Yes, if it's not available with respective straits, then we are dependent on the civil aerodrome, where we have all the aircrafts of defense will have priority for flying. It's called the maritime reconnaissance.
one more question.
Most certainly.
We have what is called as the Pacific Plastic, what is it called? Great Garbage Pacific, this one. Do you have a similar kind of thing in the Indian coastal waters nearby?
No, I don't think we have got something like that in Indian coast. It's not there. To the best of my knowledge, it's not there.
Hello, good morning, sir. So my name is Siddharth, and I want to ask, like, in every state or district, Indian Coast Guard has specifically got a port where the ships are allowed to come and all other things that happen there. But in Karnataka, like in Mangalore, there is one port I know, but specifically I don't remember the particular name, but ICGS Varha used to come there. But not every ship used to come, but only that Varha ships come. Not like every ships are not coming there. Only a particular kind of ships are coming there. Then for specific dates, and we don't have a specific port for Indian Coast Guard.
Okay, I would like to thanks Siddharth. Thanks for a lovely question, but I would like to tell you that the Indian there are total 12 major ports and about 205 minor ports across India. I am not so sure whether you are aware, but if you're not aware, this is the information. 12 major ports, and we have got 205 minor ports. At the same time, we have got 10 private ports which is operated by Adanis. Okay. Now, every port is supposed to, we have the privilege, and we have every port we have a dedicated berth for us, which is exclusively for the Coast Guard ships coming in and plying in and coming in and going out. And that is for the security purpose. As you told, Varaha, we have got two offshore patrol vessels. The names are Vikram and Varaha. I've got two OPVs over here. They are about 105 meters in length and about 15 meters in breadth, and it's almost like an 8-story building. And they go extend patrolling at about 200 miles. That is my area of responsibility. And we got our FPVs, as I told you, that we have got FPVs and we have got ACVs and we have got the aerial assets. So it's not that there is a requirement of a dedicated port for Coast Guard, that no one can do that, because we are not involved into trade. We are into security, the nation's security. My role is different from role of the port. Understand? So that's a major part of it. But every major port we have all our berthing facilities. This is a mandatory requirement. I suppose I have answered your question. Thank you.
So here,
I am always a student.
So am I, sir.
So, especially these days, we look at the drugs problem among the youth, and your responsibility is pretty great in that, because most of the drug, come through the seas. Some only through the flight. Okay, the flight, there is a different mechanism. So, what kind of mechanism do we have in the Coast Guard to keep a check on this?
Okay, there's something called squads, anti-drug traffic squads are there, and there's something called the DRI, Directorate of Revenue Intelligence. They are also supposed to join hands with the Coast Guard, and the Coast Guard is the lead intelligence agency as well. So we have got a lot of stakeholders who are participating in my monthly lead intelligence meeting. Apart from that, we have got the fishermen. I also hinted a short while ago, saying that fishermen are eyes and ears for us. So you need to collate information. Yes, the drug flow through sea will always be there. It's not a foolproof system. But if you have a sufficient intelligence networking system, and it's a combined, coordinated and a concerted efforts by the assets, both surface as well as the other stakeholders, we are nabbing. And I'm sure last 2 days you must have heard in Gujarat coast, where we have caught at about 200 kgs of heroin and worth several crores. It all can happen when you have proper intelligence and networking, and then you have to do. And we are capable for doing that kind of an operation. I'm sure I have answered your question, sir. Thank you. Any more questions, please? So I'm not aware as to which I should take, whether it has gone inside or gone away with the wind. Yeah. Yeah, you can ask me anything. If I know, I will say yes. Otherwise, we got learned scholars who can support me in trying to help me in answering your question.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah.
So nowadays we know that many.
Can I request your name, please?
My name is Calvin.
Beg your pardon?
Calvin.
Calvin. Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, my question is, nowadays most of the company are taking measures to take out the waste and all from the seas, and they are only taking the waste just like 1 ton, 2 tons, which is required for the recycled materials and all. Rest will be remain there. And most of the nuclear waste and all, they are of course they will isolate it, but they will dump in the middle of the or deep part of the sea. So even today, even this much of meetings we are doing, they are dumping most of the materials to the sea, coastal areas, right? So how to take all the waste with these small measures and all?
No, first of all, I would like to ask you, what kind of a waste are you trying to pose a question to me? Apart from nuclear waste, your thought process of dumping into sea is just, it's only in fantasy it can happen.
No. It's just like some nuclear materials which are radioactive materials and all. So
I think you're shooting off the records because you can't shoot at a question like that because unless you have concrete information as to where and how and this question is it's out of the box actually.
yes, sir.
So it cannot come like that. So nuclear waste and all, if it happens in nuclear waste at sea, then you can imagine, will you have fishes?
No.
Then
But they will isolate it, right?
how can you isolate?
No.
What is about? See, 71% of the global, the Earth, 71% is the water body.
Yes, sir.
71%.
Yeah.
The balance is 29% is what is the land mass. So I'm sorry to, yeah, I'm sure learned professors are there.
Waste is the one which is most controlled. Okay.
Yes, sir.
If you know, even the nuclear medicine that is used in any of these hospitals is not allowed to go and mix with the regular waste. So you have to keep count of each and every gram of nuclear material that you use, and there is a system where this is always controlled through the Department of Atomic Energy. So if I am doing an experiment on a mouse and use nuclear material on that mouse has to be disposed of in a specific way. It cannot be mixed with the medical waste that we do.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, so all the nuclear waste that we are talking about are controlled and specifically disposed of. They don't go to the sea just like that. Nuclear material goes into the sea only in two specific situations. One is during the accidents like what happened in Fukushima, which we cannot control. Okay, the second one is in case of what do we say, undersea nuclear bomb detonation, but that is also controlled by international treaties, so it cannot happen that way. So whatever nuclear material that you find in the sea is natural. Radon and helium are found in the sea also. Okay, so it is not that. What we are talking about today in the waste is the waste that we generate, which goes into the sea, because we think that the sea is so vast and therefore we can dump everything into that, and that is coming back again to us. And as you said, part of this is recyclable. Our concern here is not for taking out the waste and then using it. Our concern here is how to reduce the waste so that we don't dump it into the sea. That's the concern. That's the action that we want all of us have to do. That's it. Okay. So the waste recycling and waste reclamation will be happening continuously, but it should be reduced, and it can be reduced only if we stop dumping that into the sea. That's the concern that we have.
To the books or website and then try to find out where all we have our nuclear plants.
Yes, sir.
Okay, what is fission reaction and what is fusion reaction? If you read more material on this, probably you'll be able to grasp more knowledge onto that.
Okay.
Thank you.
It's also in Coast Guard.
Oh, great. What's his name?
So Shamsher Singh.
Oh, great. Samsher is my own pal. Yeah.
So from childhood, I've seen that the motto of Coast Guard is Vayam Raksham, we
Great.
protect.
Yeah.
So the main role of Coast Guard is to stop smuggling, and they have to see that there should not be any sort of pollution and all. So if there is situation like war, the Navy is responsible for that. The Navy will fight for that. But if there is situation where the Navy is not sufficient for that, will the Ministry of Defense allow Coast Guard to join Navy?
Affirmative. You have that answer by your own words because at times of war, the Ministry of Defense takes over the role of sets of merchant traffic as well as the Indian Coast Guard in order to protect the Indian waters. So all assets will be transferred to Indian Navy, and we operate under their directions at times of war. Yeah, can I request for some other questions from the ladies, please?
Grishma, and the oil pollution is a major problem that's happening in the sea, and how the Coast Guard managed to prevent the oil pollution? Is there any?
Yeah, thanks for the wonderful question, because as and when the ships ply, both merchant traffic ships are propelled by diesel oil, and you'll find sometimes the lube oils, also waste oils. It's called the ballast management. Sometimes the merchant ship traffic, they try to pump out the bilges and all. So that will form a sheen of oil, and to some extent, certain level, it has its own biodegradation. The nature itself withers away. But if it's a major pollution, then we need to take care of the coast, and we've got IMO level 1, 2, 3 courses, and we've got the 3 Coast Guard pollution control vessels, which are situated in Vizag, Porbandar, and of course one in Port Blair. So all these 3 vessels, like I have got a PRT equipment over here. At the same time, I have been training all the stakeholders on terms of marine pollution, how to combat pollution, and if at all, if there's an oil spill into the coastline, what are the disposal techniques, how you do a recovery, and then how you do the disposal techniques. I'm not so sure how many of you are aware, on the 21st of June, there was a vessel by name called MV Princess Meral, which ran aground with at about 260 metric tons of oil, but fortunately nothing has happened. So as a precautionary measures, I've ensured that almost 1,000 people from the state and all the stakeholders are well trained in case of an oil spill. So we are capable and we can do that. I suppose I have answered your question. Thank you. Any more?
Options for the fair sex in Coast Guard that we have in Coast Guard. If I am a lady, how do I join Coast Guard?
Okay, for the women force, definitely. Having said that, I told you that we have both women folks as well as the men's who are joining the Indian Coast Guard. We need to have an undergraduate, and we've got a pilot entry. They are pilots, they're observers, and for which you need to have a science background, preferably up to 12th standard, and then you need to have an undergraduation, any kind of a degree, whether it is an undergrad in a normal course of 3 years or an engineering degree, anything, but of course not the medical. And you can join as a pilots. Then you've got law graduates, you've got logisticians, and these are the various places where you can join. And when you go into the naval fraternity, Air Force fraternity, you've got fighter pilots, you've got helicopter pilots. Of course, Coast Guard also has got Dornier pilots, and both Dornier as well as helicopter pilots. Air Force has got fighters for the women, and all the examinations will be on more or less like a similar process, where the gateway to entry into the services are through the examination, and then you are grilled. You're grilled into a tenure of say about 10 days or minimum a week's times to maximum 10 days, where you are exposed to various interview techniques, in order to understand and get the best of the officer-like qualities from you all, and then the selection process takes on, and the final will be an interview process, and that's how you can enroll yourself for the Coast Guard, and for the matter for any of the defense forces. This is the mandatory requirement, and of course most important is physical fitness. You need to be physically fit, medically standards. We got a certain type of standards level. If anything below that standard, it is definitely not acceptable. We cannot enroll, because you will not be in a position to perform the duties as what we are need to, or I'm supposed to deliver back to the service. That cannot be done. So that's the most important thing. So you'll have to be medically fit and mentally agile. Thank you.
As the population increases, there is so many changes in the environment always, that is pollutions are there. So the types of pollutions affecting the climatic conditions of the earth, that's right. So when we can see the changes in the land. When it comes to the sea, what are the changes that is happening to the sea? That is when it was the flood situation in Kerala, I can see the color change itself in the sea. But when it comes to the ocean and all, how drastically it changes the mysteries in the sea or something like that.
Okay, I'll take this question because I have not seen any changes in 30 years. So I have not seen any changes except for it depends upon the shallow waters. You'll find greenish. Certain places, if it's a clay water, you'll find, if you go to Lakshadweep, you'll find blue waters. If you go to Maldives, it's still more greenish and bluish. you'll find. And all this depends upon the salinity of the seawater. So that color also comes into that factor. And of course, what algae are growing into the marine biodiversity, that also is one of those reasons. But yes, the most important thing which I would like to bring it is the global warming. The global warming will, it'll make your the ice glaciers to melt down, and when it melts down, you'll find the waves, the sea waves are increasing. Along the coastline, you'll find at least 1.5 meters is increased. And post tsunami, also you must have realized along the coastline there are a lot of variations in the seabed. So that has happened. Of course, this is part of the nature which we need to accept. And why it has happened? It has happened because we abused it. And that is the most important thing. So global warming is one of those reasons.
Sir, my name is Sonali and I'm from Bengre. There it's like we Bengre people took initiative and started cleaning that place. But it's like it's the junction of river and sea. So the waste material dump over there. So what measures can we take?
The best is to do the cleanship. So thanks, Sonali. And see, whenever the river and when I'll not. Okay, let me name it. I took over this headquarters on the 7th of February 2020, and I found a very good solid BMW car coming, and Gurupura River. I found one great gentleman who opened up his dicky and put all the trash back into the Gurupura River. So I stopped myself and I blasted him. Why are you polluting the sea? Why are you polluting the river? And who's doing this? It's we. You'll find, go to the river, you go to the milky waters, you'll find a lot of chapels, you'll find a lot of, all youngsters, who are into boozing and so many things, I find it's a criminal waste of, abusing your body, yourself and boozing and so much of liquor bottles, so much of chapels, which, whenever I do cleanship, I pick up at least tons and tons, The last one, when we did it at Mulki, it broke my mind, I was wondering how come youngsters are like that, and why are they into the very bad habits of drinking, and then parents abusing your own parents, because your parents are getting 1 or 2 shoes, that's more than enough, or 1 or 2 sandals for the ladies, it's more than enough. But then you'll find max of the sandals coming into the sea, you'll find all the cups, all the bottles, all mucks. Why is this happening? This happening is because we are not respecting our own environment. That is why these goes, with every high water, every 6 hours, you'll find high water, low water. Water goes out, water comes in. So whatever goes out, again it has to come. And wherever it finds, a safe place, it'll go and, house itself or park itself into the beaches. And who are using the beaches? We are using the beaches. And why we are unable to go to the beaches? Because we are creating a muck over there. So it's our collective responsibility. I'm happy that you have taken certain initiative, but make it as a point that you do it regularly.
We are doing it regularly, but every year it comes and like for 100 days we took the initiative. For tons we collected the waste and it was recycled. Bit of it, thermocols and all, we separated it, but still we couldn't do anything.
You can't do much.
Yeah.
You can't do much of it. I'm not so sure whether are you part of a young Indian group over here?
No.
Okay, great. Because I'm part of the young Indian groups, because where all college students are there with me and they join with me. I request them and join on a monthly basis. Though it's not a mandatory requirement. But then, in order to keep your own environment cleaner, I take it a moral responsibility to keep my own coastal areas, clean and protect the biodiversity. This is my motto. So we are doing it. So are you. Please contribute yourself so that things can be. And the most important thing, I want all the kids to ensure that self-discipline is what I have learned in my life and what my teachers have taught me. Self-discipline. When your own self, if you're self-disciplined, I'm sure that nothing can distract your mind. So self-discipline is the most important for the students. Be it your own physical fitness, your mental fitness, your mental agility, and trying to cope up with the pressures of the technology, you people are more glued to mobiles and so on and so forth. But then there are a lot of distraction. When I was a kid, it was not much of a distraction, but nowadays there are a lot of distraction. But if you have a focused energy, I'm sure you all can come out. It's all a matter of time. It's a question of time. Time will always heal itself. And remember that every 60 years, a repetition happens. If you go by mythology, every 60 years, whatever you find today's weather, after 60 years, you'll find the same weather. So that you need to understand and you need to respect. So let's protect our environment. Let's join together for a cleaner and a safe oceans and a place to live and for the future generation as well. I think, shall I wind it up? Or if at all, if any more questions, I'm ready to take off.
Sir, I have a doubt. That is, when two oceans are mixing together.
Can I request your name, please?
I'm Namita. Sir, when two oceans are mixing together, they have a border. One is showing one color and the other is showing different color. Why don't they mix each other?
Because of the salinity. I have told you. I'm sure you must have seen the recent videos, Atlantic Ocean, Pacific Ocean.
Sir, that's, I think South Africa, the urban one ocean, they, one of the color is orange and the other is...
Orange? I have not seen any orange.
Orange
it's light blue or dark color?
Like orange only. I have recently searched also.
Oh, then I'm not so sure. Let me not take a question which is not relevant to me. The water colors will be different because of the salinity. At the same time, the marine growth is there.
Sir, actually they are in a border.
Certain waters doesn't make. I hope you're not talking about Black Sea interior and all.
No.
Then I'll not be able to answer that question.
Okay, sir, thank you.
But I'm yet to see an orange color. I've seen pink, of course. Oh, great. Probably I'm not colorblind, but still. I'm not colorblind. I'm 6'6", and of course, I'm putting a reading glass only for to look young. That's it. Any more?
Good morning, sir. My
Very good
name is
morning.
Harshita Shetty
Yeah.
from Srinivas College.
Yeah.
Sir, last year we had bioluminescence in Mangalore. I was very excited, but I could not visit. What may be the reason, sir? Maybe it's chemicals or any organisms that's happening in the sea.
I'm part of the research team in that. So let's not come out with this. You must have found it at Suratkal waters.
Yes,
am I right? Yeah.
yes.
That's even I have seen it. It's all the marine growth is there. So it's a living organism. It happens. And have you seen? I don't know. In Tamil, we call as bees which are with lights and all. Have you seen? I have seen as a kid. Exactly. So now, if you ask me why, there is something called the electric ray. Electric ray. It can give. It can provide shocks to you. A jellyfish. It can give you a shock. It's all marine. Like the way you are bound to ask a question, and it's a human nature. At the same is the marine nature. From one single organism, a single cell to multiple, and we are having senses, 5 senses. So like that. So it changes. Yeah. Thanks. Any more? That's all, sir. Thank you. Thanks and lovely. I'm happy to interact with the students. And at this forum, I would also let all my kids, the students, young students, if you wanted to visit the ship, please let me know through your professor, through Rob, sir, so that I don't mind, making a visit for you people to visit my ships and understand as to what is the concept of ship and what is the role of the Coast Guard and how does the ship look like and how does a platform looks like. Most welcome. I extend an invitation through Dr. Rao. So thank you very much.
ಕರಾವಳಿ ತೀರಗಳನ್ನು ಸಂರಕ್ಷಿಸಲು ಏನೆಲ್ಲ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು, ಇಂಡಿಯನ್ ಕೋಸ್ಟ್ ಗಾರ್ಡ್ನ ಜವಾಬ್ದಾರಿ ಕಾರ್ಯವೈಖರಿ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಸವಿಸ್ತಾರವಾಗಿ ತಿಳಿಸುತ್ತಾ ಸಾಗರ ಪರಿಸರವನ್ನು ಕಲುಷಿತಗೊಳಿಸದೆ ಅದನ್ನು ಸಂರಕ್ಷಿತವಾಗಿಡುವುದು ನಮ್ಮೆಲ್ಲರ ಜವಾಬ್ದಾರಿಯಾಗಿದೆ. ವಾಸ್ತವ ಉದಾಹರಣೆಗಳೊಂದಿಗೆ ತಿಳಿಸಿ ಹಲವಾರು ಸಂದೇಹಗಳಿಗೆ ಉತ್ತರಿಸಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಸರ್, ನಿಮಗೆ ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳು. ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು ಸರ್. ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮದ ನಮ್ಮೊಂದಿಗೆ ಇನ್ನೋರ್ವ ಅತಿಥಿಗಳಾದ ಶ್ರೀಯುತ ಕೊಳ್ಳೇಗಾಲ ಶರ್ಮಾ ಸರ್. ಓಕೆ ಸರ್. ಈ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮದಲ್ಲಿ ಮುಖ್ಯ ಅತಿಥಿಗಳು ಭಾಗವಹಿಸಿದಂಥ ಶ್ರೀಯುತ ಎಸ್ ಬಾಬು ವೆಂಕಟೇಶ್, DIG ಕಮಾಂಡರ್ ಆಫ್ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ, ಇವರಿಗೆ ನೆನಪಿನ ಸ್ಮರಣಿಕೆಯನ್ನು ನಮ್ಮ ನಿರ್ದೇಶಕರಾದ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ KV ರಾವ್ ಅವರು ನೀಡಬೇಕಾಗಿ ವಿನಂತಿಸಿಕೊಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು ಸರ್. ಓಕೆ ಸರ್.
750 people, candidates, and we're trying to do the entire cleanship. And on that particular day, 75 beaches have been selected for cleanship. And so we're going to do that. I wanted you all to join, the youth force to join me. Thank you very much, and have a nice time, and happy studying, and happy educating yourself. And at the same time, be a responsible citizen, and choose your career, go for it, have a focus energy, and don't have multiples, have single energy, and then focus on it. I'm sure you should be able to crack on whatever profession, whatever you like, and try to do that. Thank you very much.
ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮ ಉದ್ದೇಶಿಸಿ ನಮ್ಮೊಂದಿಗೆ ಶ್ರೀಯುತ ಕೊಳ್ಳೇಗಾಲ ಶರ್ಮಾ ಅವರು ಮಾತನಾಡಲಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅವರಿಗೆ ಈ ವೇದಿಕೆ.
ಐ ಆಮ್ ನಾಟ್ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಬಿಟ್ವೀನ್ ಯು ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಪ್ರೊಫೆಸರ್ ಅನೀಶ್ ವಾರಿಯರ್. ಒಂದೇ ಒಂದು ಮಾತು ಹೇಳಬೇಕಾಗಿತ್ತು. ವೆಂಕಟೇಶ್ ಅವರು ನಮ್ಮ ದೇಶದ ಸಾಗರ ಗಡಿಯನ್ನು ರಕ್ಷಣೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅದಕ್ಕಾಗಿ ಅವರ ಹತ್ರ ಸಾಕಷ್ಟು ಸವಲತ್ತುಗಳಿವೆ. ಆದರೆ ಒಂದು ಎನಿಮಿ ಅವರು ಇದುವರೆಗೆ ಟ್ಯಾಕಲ್ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕಾಗಿಲ್ಲ, ಅಥವಾ ಅವ್ರಿಗೂ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗದೇ ಇರೋದು ಅಂತಂದರೆ ಪೊಲ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಅಂತ ನಾವೇನು ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ ಅದನ್ನು ಅವರು ಹೇಳಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಸಾಗರ ನೋಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ 30 ವರ್ಷದ ಹಿಂದೆ ಹೇಗೆ ಇತ್ತೋ ಅದೇ ಬಣ್ಣ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಅದೇ ರೀತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಆದರೆ ಅದರಲ್ಲಾಗುವಂಥ ಬದಲಾವಣೆಗಳು, ಸೂಕ್ಷ್ಮ ಬದಲಾವಣೆಗಳು ನಮ್ಮೆಲ್ಲರನ್ನೂ ಕೂಡ ಇವತ್ತಿಗೂ ತಾಕ್ತವೆ. ಎಲ್ಲರನ್ನೂ ಅಂತಂದರೆ ನನ್ನನ್ನು ಸೇರಿಸಿ, ಮೈಸೂರಿನಲ್ಲಿದ್ದೀನಿ ನಾನು, ಆದರೆ ಮೈಸೂರಿನಲ್ಲಿರೋ ನನ್ನನ್ನು ಬಿಟ್ಟಿಲ್ಲ ಅದು. ಹಾಗೆ ಮೈಸೂರಿನಲ್ಲಿರೋ ನಾವು ನಿಮ್ಮನ್ನು ಕಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ. ಈಗ ವೆಂಕಟೇಶ್ ಅವರು ಹೇಳಿದರು, ಯಾರೋ ಕಾರ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂದು ನೇತ್ರಾವತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಕಸ ಹಾಕಿ ಹೋದರು. ಅದನ್ನು ವಾಟ್ಸ್ ಯುವರ್ ನೇಮ್? ಸೊನಾಲಿ ಹ್ಯಾಡ್ ಟು ಕ್ಲೀನ್ ಇಟ್ ಅಪ್. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಇದು ಸಮಸ್ಯೆ ನಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ ಈಗ ಇರುವಂತಹದ್ದು. ಸಾಗರದಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರಪಂಚದ ಯಾವುದೇ ಮೂಲೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಆಗುವಂತಹ ಸಮಸ್ಯೆ ನಮ್ಮನ್ನು ಕೂಡ ಕಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಇದೆ. ಇವತ್ತಿಗೆ ನಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಮಳೆ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಅಂತಂದರೆ ಅದು ನಮ್ಮ ಅರಬ್ಬಿ ಸಮುದ್ರದಲ್ಲಿ ಆಗೋ ಬದಲಾವಣೆ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಪೆಸಿಫಿಕ್ ಸಾಗರದಲ್ಲಿ ಆಗುವಂಥ ಬದಲಾವಣೆಗಳು. ಅಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಕೂಡ ನಮಗೆ ಕಾಟ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಹಾಗೆ ನಾವು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಏನೆಲ್ಲ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ, ಒಂದು ಸಿಗರೇಟ್ ತುಂಡು ಎಸಿಬೋದು, ಅಥವಾ ನಾವು ಕಸ ಸಾಕಷ್ಟು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ತುಂಬ ಉಪಯೋಗಿಸಿ ಅದನ್ನು ನದಿಗೆ ಬಿಸಾಡ್ಬೋದು. ಮತ್ತೊಂದಕ್ಕೆ ಅದು ಬರೀ ನಮ್ಮ ದೇಶದಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾತ್ರ ಉಳಿಯೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಪೆಸಿಫಿಕ್ ಸಾಗರದಲ್ಲಿ ಇರುವಂತಹ ಪ್ಲಾಸ್ಟಿಕ್ ಗುಡ್ಡೆ ಒಂದು ದ್ವೀಪದ ರೀತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ತೇಲಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಅದರಿಂದ ಯಾವ ರೀತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಅದನ್ನು ನಿವಾರಿಸಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಅನ್ನೋದನ್ನು ವಿಶ್ವಾದ್ಯಂತ ಇರುವಂಥ ವಿಜ್ಞಾನಿಗಳು ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ದಿಸ್ ಈಸ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಪೆಸಿಫಿಕ್ ಗಾರ್ಬೇಜ್ ಡಂಪ್. ಅದು ಪೆಸಿಫಿಕ್ ಸಾಗರದಲ್ಲೇ ಹೋಗೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಕಾರಣ ಏನು ಅಂತಂದರೆ, ಸಮುದ್ರದ ಅಡಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಇರುವಂತಹ ಹಲವಾರು ಪ್ರವಾಹಗಳು ಅದನ್ನು ಎಲ್ಲ ಕಡೆಯಿಂದ ಒಟ್ಟು ಮಾಡಿ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಒಟ್ಟುಗೂಡಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದೆ, ಬೇರೆ ಕಡೆಯಿಂದ ಬರುವಂತಹದ್ದು. ಅದೇ ರೀತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಬೇರೆ ಕಡೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಆಗುವಂತಹ ಹಲವಾರು ವಿದ್ಯಮಾನಗಳು ನಮ್ಮ ಭಾರತದ ಮೇಲೆ ಮಳೆ ಸುರಿಸ್ತಾ ಇವೆ. ಹಾಗೆ ಕ್ಲೈಮೇಟ್ ಚೇಂಜ್ನ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಕೂಡ ನಾವು ಗಮನ ಹರಿಸಿದ್ರೆ ಇವತ್ತಲ್ಲ ನಾಳೆ ನಮಗೆ ಇದರ ಸಮಸ್ಯೆ ಎದುರಿಸಲೇಬೇಕಾದಂಥ ಒಂದು ಅನಿವಾರ್ಯತೆ ಇದೆ. ಅದರಲ್ಲೂ 130 ಕೋಟಿ ಇವತ್ತಿದ್ದೀವಿ, ಇನ್ನು 20 ವರ್ಷದಲ್ಲಿ 150 ಕೋಟಿ 160 ಕೋಟಿ ಜನತೆ ಆಗ್ತೀವಿ. ಆಗ ಬೇಕಾದಂಥ ಆಹಾರ ಉತ್ಪಾದನೆ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಒಳ್ಳೆಯ ಆಹಾರ ಉತ್ಪಾದನೆ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಇವೆಲ್ಲಕ್ಕೂ ಕೂಡ ಸಮಸ್ಯೆ ನಮಗೆ ಎದುರಾಗುವಂಥದ್ದಿದೆ. ಅದನ್ನು ತಡಿಬೇಕು ಅಂತಂದರೆ ನಾವು ಪರಿಸರದ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಕಾಳಜಿ ವಹಿಸಬೇಕಾಗತ್ತೆ. ಬಹುಶಃ ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ನಗ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀರಿ, ವಯಸ್ಸಾದವರೆಲ್ಲ ಇದನ್ನೇ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ ಅಂತ ಅಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ಯಾಕೆ ಹೇಳ್ತಿದ್ದೀವಿ ಅಂತಂದರೆ, ನಾವು ಮಾಡಿರೋ ತಪ್ಪಿಗೆ ನಿಮ್ಮನ್ನು ಜವಾಬ್ದಾರರನ್ನಾಗಿ ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ನೀವು ಸುಖವಾಗಿರಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ಮಾಡಿದ ತಪ್ಪನ್ನು ನೀವು ಮಾಡಬಾರ್ದು ಅನ್ನೋದಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ನಾವು ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ. ಮಾಡಬಾರ್ದು ಅನ್ನೋದಷ್ಟೇ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಅದರ ಫಲವನ್ನು ನೀವು ಅನುಭವಿಸೋದ್ರಿಂದ ನಾವು ನಿಮಗೆ ಎಚ್ಚರಿಕೆಯನ್ನು ಕೂಡ ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ. ನಿನ್ನೆ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ನೇಚರ್ ಪತ್ರಿಕೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ರಿಸರ್ಚ್ ಇದು ಪ್ರಕಟ ಆಗಿತ್ತು. ಇನ್ನು 20 ವರ್ಷ ಆದಮೇಲೆ ನಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ ಆಹಾರ ಸಮಸ್ಯೆ ಗಂಭೀರವಾಗಿ ತೋರುತ್ತೆ. ಬರೀ ಆಹಾರ ಸಮಸ್ಯೆ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಅದರ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಪೌಷ್ಟಿಕ ಆಹಾರ ಯಾರ್ಯಾರಿಗೆ ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ ಅನ್ನೋದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಕೂಡ ಸಮಸ್ಯೆ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ನಮ್ಮ ಭಾರತ, ಆಫ್ರಿಕಾ ಹಾಗೂ ಇನ್ನು ಕೆಲವು ರಾಷ್ಟ್ರಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಬಹಳಷ್ಟು ಜನಕ್ಕೆ ಪೌಷ್ಟಿಕ ಆಹಾರ ಸಿಗುವ ಸಮಸ್ಯೆ ಇದೆ. ಹಾಗಿದ್ರೆ ಎಂಥ ಆಹಾರ ತಿನ್ನಬೇಕು ಅದಕ್ಕಿಂತ ನಾವು ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡಿದರೆ, ಕ್ಲೈಮೇಟ್ ಚೇಂಜ್ ಅದರ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ನಾವು ತೆಗೆದುಕೊಂಡ್ರೆ ನಾವು ಬಳಸಬೇಕಾಗಿ ಬರುವಂಥದ್ದು ಹೆಚ್ಚಿನ ಮಟ್ಟಿಗೆ ಕೋಸ್ಟಲ್ ಏರಿಯಾಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಮ್ಯಾಕರಲ್ ಅಂತ ಏನು ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ, ನಿಮ್ಮ ಕಡೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಅದೇನು ಹೆಸರು ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ, ನಂಗೆ ಮರ್ತೋಗಿದೆ, ಬಂಗಡೆ ಅಂತನೋ ಮತ್ತೇನು ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ, ಸಣ್ಣ ಸಣ್ಣ ಮೀನುಗಳು. ಸೊ ಇವು ಅತ್ಯಂತ ಪರಿಸರ ಸ್ನೇಹಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಬೋದು. ಮೀಟ್ಗಿಂತ, ಬೀಫ್ಗಿಂತ, ಚಿಕನ್ಗಿಂತ ಅತ್ಯುತ್ತಮವಾದಂಥ ಆಹಾರ, ಅತಿ ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಸಿಗುವಂಥ ಆಹಾರ, ಇದು ಮುಂದೆ ನಮಗೆ ಬಹಳ ಅವಶ್ಯಕವಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ನಾನು ಯಾಕೆ ಇದನ್ನು ಇವತ್ತಿನ ದಿವಸ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ ಅಂತಂದರೆ, ಅದು ಆಹಾರ ವಿಜ್ಞಾನಿಗಳು ಹೇಳೋ ವಿಚಾರ. ಆದರೆ ಇಫ್ ವಿ ಡೋಂಟ್ ಕೀಪ್ ಅವರ್ ಓಷನ್ಸ್ ಕ್ಲೀನ್, ಈ ಮೀನುಗಳು ನಮಗೆ ಸಿಗೋದು ಕಷ್ಟ ಆಗ್ತದೆ. ಸೊ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಕಡೆಯಿಂದ ನಮಗೆ ತೊಂದರೆ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ನಾನು ಮೀನು ತಿಂದೇ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಆದರೆ ತಿನ್ನುವವರಿಗೆ ಸಾಕಷ್ಟು ಸಂಕಷ್ಟ ಬರುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳೋತಾ ನನ್ನ ಮಾತನ್ನು ಮುಗಿಸ್ತೇನೆ. ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು 17ನೇ ತಾರೀಕು ಯಾರ್ಯಾರೆಲ್ಲ ಫ್ರೀ ಇದ್ದೀರಾ, ಸಾಗರದಲ್ಲಿ ಕಡಲ ತೀರದಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾರೆಲ್ಲ ಹೋಗಿ ಕ್ಲೀನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ನೀವು ಕ್ಲೀನ್ ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಹೆಸಿಟೇಟ್ ಆದರೂ ಪರವಾಗಿಲ್ಲ, ಅವ್ರ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ನಿಂತು ಚಪ್ಪಾಳೆ ಹೊಡೀರಿ, ಅವ್ರನ್ನ ಹುರಿದುಂಬಿಸಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ನನ್ನ ಮಾತನ್ನು ಮುಗಿಸ್ತೇನೆ. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಟೈಮ್ ನೀವು ಎಲ್ಲೇ ಪ್ಲಾಸ್ಟಿಕ್ ಕಪ್ಪು, ಪ್ಲಾಸ್ಟಿಕ್ ಸ್ಪೂನು ಮತ್ತೊಂದು ನೋಡಿದ್ರೆ ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು ಇದನ್ನು ಉಪಯೋಗಿಸಬೇಡಿ ಅಂತ ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇರೋರಿಗೆ ಹೇಳೋದನ್ನು ಹೇಳಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ನನ್ನ ಮಾತನ್ನು ಮುಗಿಸ್ತೇನೆ. ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳು.
ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳು ಸರ್. ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮ ಉದ್ದೇಶಿಸಿ ನಮ್ಮ ನಿರ್ದೇಶಕರಾದ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಕವಿರಾವ್ 2 ಮಾತುಗಳನ್ನು ಆಡಬೇಕು ವಿನಂತಿ.
We planned the entire program in such a way that you, youngsters, get the information, total picture of what is happening today, what could be done, and how you can take the leadership in this matter. That's why we wanted Mr. Venkatesh to come, because like Himalayas, those soldiers who are protecting our borders, this is protected by the Coast Guard, and he is the man, top man for all these operations, and he is responsible for everything. In fact, in Ullal, if the ship is sinking with furnace oil, then he has to find out what has happened. So every minute he is a bit busy with the calls and trying to find out what could be done, and he is in charge of the International Beach Cleaning Day celebrations in Panambur on 17th. That is why he was in a bit of hurry, but I told him that this is equally important. Cleaning the beach and trying to give awareness to the youngsters are what are necessary and important today. Now that that part is over, how and what of sea, what is there in the sea and what is you should know about the sea is going to be explained by Dr. Anish. One important thing that you should know is that perhaps we have a property which is given to us, a valuable property asset given to us by nature in the form of salt water. Sweet water would have been all right, but that doesn't work. It cannot, because we don't get salt otherwise. What is the importance of the sea and why this has become urgent now? Because next course of action for whatever property that we have to preserve for posterity, that has to be identified. That is the purpose of the government in trying to give awareness about those things which are to be taken care of. That is why this program. Once this awareness is given, to test your knowledge, what is that you have learned, there is going to be a spot quiz by the same person who has given you the lecture. The questions will be different, perhaps, I don't know. And spot quiz for those who give answers. Maybe that we will decide it in such a way that all the colleges will get some share of it. Otherwise, maybe that one institution will grab all the prizes and others will be just watching. That should not happen. I don't know how he is going to plan it. Institution-wise or college-wise, so that there is fair distribution, or otherwise free for all. And free for all, maybe one will be, or maybe that one will be asked to answer a question, and if he doesn't answer, it may go to next. It depends on him. Whatever he wants to do, he can do it. In the afternoon, so many colleges have helped us in organizing this program in their institution. Sort of a memento and sharing your experiences, what they have done in their college for your information, what you can plan later. NSS students or teacher, college of teacher education, what you can do next, that could be discussed. And I would like to acknowledge the presence of Kollagal Sharma, who is a science communicator. His job is communicating to all those who are interested how science could be popularized, how these programs could be organized, different types of programs. He has a band of volunteers, and he will visit the colleges on their request, and then try to find out, or even now we can discuss it later, or even in the afternoon we can discuss it. He can discuss what types of programs that he can plan for you. So this platform is meant for institutions to help them in trying to find out what they can do on their own in their colleges, how they can identify resource persons like Anish and others in this field, particularly in oceanography, and then finding out what all things colleges can do by themselves in the coming years. I would not like to say anything because our job, mandate, is to create awareness. We don't have students, and therefore we can't go to the beach on 17th and then say that, well, our 100 or 200 students will be there to clean the beach. That we can't do. But then we will try to find out what could be done in finding out, identifying people who are knowledgeable about these things, so that we bring them here as the regional science center from different parts of the country or from different areas, fields of science. We will try to find out how this could be. That's how it is planned today. If there are some things which are to be done by us to you even later, we are willing to listen. What is important, how it could be planned by the Regional Science Center with the collaboration of Vijnan Prasar and other agencies, because we would like to reach out to youngsters. For high school students, we have done enough in the form of workshops and in the form of competitions and others. But then for the college students, it was a bit difficult because one is that college students have to come here, and then the college students have to bring perhaps others also, teachers and others have to come, and we do not know precisely what is required. In the sense, subject perhaps is taught by the colleges, method of teaching is known to the teachers, and therefore what we thought was that this is one area where we can identify, where we can try to find out what could be given in the form of information to the students, and perhaps involve the teachers in such activities even later. So programs of science communication, methods of science communication, and perhaps identifying people to find out what all methods could be perhaps adopted in teaching computer science, electronics, or other aspects, areas where perhaps job opportunities are many. That we will try to do. So now the floor is open to Dr. Anish to discuss anything that he wants in relation to sea and oceans. The PowerPoint projection and other arrangements will be made. Please feel free. Wherever you want, you can interrupt, I don't know, or even later. A spot quiz, if the time is not sufficient, could be conducted even in the afternoon. Whatever food is provided is working lunch or breakfast, and I think you will be happy about it. We have the reputation of providing clean, good food, but I don't know whether it reaches enough. And please adjust.
ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು ಸರ್. ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮದ ಕೊನೆಯ ಹಂತಕ್ಕೆ ಧನ್ಯವಾದ ಸಮರ್ಪಣೆ ಮಾಡಿದರೆ ಶ್ರೀ ಶರಣಯ್ಯ.
ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ. ಅಂತಾರಾಷ್ಟ್ರೀಯ ಕರಾವಳಿ ಸ್ವಚ್ಛತಾ ದಿನದ ಅಂಗವಾಗಿ ಸ್ವಚ್ಛ ಕರಾವಳಿ ಸುರಕ್ಷಿತ ಸಾಗರ ಜಾಗೃತಿ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮಕ್ಕೆ ಮುಖ್ಯ ಅಭ್ಯಾಗತರಾಗಿ ಆಗಮಿಸಿ ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಪ್ರೇರಣೆ ಮಾತುಗಳನ್ನಾಡಿದ ಕೋಸ್ಟ್ ಗಾರ್ಡ್ನ ಹೆಡ್ ಕ್ವಾರ್ಟರ್ಸ್ ಕಮಾಂಡರ್ DIG ಬಾಬು ವೆಂಕಟೇಶ್ ಇವರಿಗೆ ಸಂಸ್ಥೆಯ ವತಿಯಿಂದ ತುಂಬು ಹೃದಯದ ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳನ್ನು ಸಮರ್ಪಿಸುತ್ತೇನೆ. ಇಂದಿನ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮದಲ್ಲಿ ಮುಖ್ಯ ಅತಿಥಿಗಳಾಗಿ ವಿಜ್ಞಾನ ಲೇಖಕರು ಸಂವಹನಕಾರರೂ ಆದ ಕೊಳ್ಳೇಗಾಲ್ ಶರ್ಮಾ ಅವರಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅವರಿಗೂ ಸಂಸ್ಥೆಯ ವತಿಯಿಂದ ಅನಂತ ಕೃತಜ್ಞತೆಗಳನ್ನು ಸಲ್ಲಿಸುತ್ತಿದ್ದೇನೆ. ಇಂದು ನಮ್ಮೊಂದಿಗೆ ಸಂಪನ್ಮೂಲ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿಗಳಾಗಿ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಅನೀಶ್ ಕುಮಾರ್ ವಾರಿಯರ್, ಅಸೋಸಿಯೇಟ್ ಪ್ರೊಫೆಸರ್, ಮಣಿಪಾಲ್ ಇನ್ಸ್ಟಿಟ್ಯೂಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಟೆಕ್ನಾಲಜಿ ಇವರಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಇವರಿಗೂ ಸಂಸ್ಥೆಯ ವತಿಯಿಂದ ಹೃತ್ಪೂರ್ವಕ ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳು. ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮದ ಅಧ್ಯಕ್ಷತೆಯನ್ನು ವಹಿಸಿದ ಕೇಂದ್ರದ ನಿರ್ದೇಶಕರಾದ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ KV ರಾವ್ ಇವರಿಗೂ ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳು. ಎಲ್ಲ ಸಂಯೋಜಕರಿಗೂ ಸಂಸ್ಥೆಯ ವತಿಯಿಂದ ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳು. ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮದಲ್ಲಿ ಪಾಲ್ಗೊಂಡಿರುವಂತಹ ಎಲ್ಲ ವಿದ್ಯಾರ್ಥಿಗಳು, ಶಿಕ್ಷಕರು ಹಾಗೂ ನನ್ನ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮದ ಯಶಸ್ಸಿಗಾಗಿ ಶ್ರಮಿಸಿದ ಎಲ್ಲರನ್ನೂ ನೆನೆಯುತ್ತಾ ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ನನ್ನ ವಂದನೆಗಳನ್ನು ಸಲ್ಲಿಸುತ್ತೇನೆ.
Anish Kumar Warrior,
Completed his MSc and PhD in marine geology from Mangalore University. Worked as a project scientist at the National Center for Polar and Ocean Research, Government of India, Goa. He is currently an associate professor of geology and coordinator, Center for Climate Studies at Manipal Institute of Technology. Was the secretary for the International Geoscience Education Organization from 2014 to 2022. Works on climate change and environmental pollution. Has traveled to Antarctica 4 times. Has published more than 40 research papers. Currently supervising PhD work of 6 scholars. He has been honored with many awards. Few are Award for Research Publication 2021 from Government of Karnataka, K.K. Menon Award in Sedimentology 2015, Geological Science of India, Young Sedimentologist Award 2006 from Indian Association of Sedimentologists, CSIR Senior Research Fellow Award at 2018 from Government of India. Traveled to Spain, Switzerland, Cape Town, Portugal to present research work.
Am I audible? Good. So good morning to all of you. And thank you, ma'am, for the sweet introduction. At the outset, I would like to thank the Pilikula Regional Center, especially Director Professor K.V. Rao, for having invited me to deliver this particular keynote lecture on ocean resources. So without any further delay, I'm not sure if you will be able to see the screen. You're able to see the screen? All right. So before we start, just a quick survey. How many of you are science students, science graduates? Good. So it makes my job a little bit more simpler. So whatever technical terms that will come on the slides, you should be able to understand it. Okay. Right. So are we ready? Still see some people coming in. So just wait. So requesting all of you to settle down, switch off your mobile phones. The next 1 hour or so, the lecture is important because it is on this, the basis of this lecture will form the quiz, the spot quiz. All right, shall we start? All right. Okay, so my first question to you directly is not the spot quiz. It's not the spot quiz. What do you see on the screen? Okay, ship then. Okay. Very good. Okay, so you said ship, you said sea, you said Azadi Ki Amrit Mahotsav logo. But what is the adjective that you can give to this particular, that small clip over there? Adjective. Is it nice, good, beautiful? Yes? Beautiful. Okay, so many of them say beautiful. Now what would you say? From beautiful it goes to ugly. This is what we have created in today's ocean. Okay, this is just one photograph which I got from Google, and I thought I'll show it in this particular way. In fact, in one of the earlier talks in St. Aloysius, I had kept this as the last slide, and Professor Sharma told me that you keep this as the first slide. Okay, so I'm not sure if he's there, but I have accepted his advice. Okay, so with this small introduction, I'll be delivering a talk on ocean resources, giving you some highlights of why oceans are important, what are the different types of mineral resources that are present underneath the water, okay, in the next few minutes. And then we will also focus on how my activity are threatening the oceans. Okay, so my means I'm including all of us. Okay, so all right, in this talk, the contents are quite huge. but we'll try to finish it off as early as possible so that we'll have ample time for the spot quiz. Okay, so first I'll talk about difference between the sea and the ocean. Why is it called, some parts are called as sea, some parts are called as ocean. Students even today have that type of confusion, so we'll clear that particular doubts. Some statistics about the oceans as obtained from the United Nations. Then 10 interesting facts about the oceans. How are the ocean basins formed in the geological past? What does the ocean floor look like? I haven't been to the ocean floor, but I have certain data as to how it looks like. Okay. Then who owns these resources and who can utilize them? A little while back, Venkatesh sir told that there is something called as the EEZ, that's the exclusive economic zone, and every coastal country has rights, certain amount of rights on the resources that are available in the oceans. Okay. Then what are the mineral deposits found in the ocean? This is a very important, because I believe many of you will not be knowing what are the types of mineral resources that are found underneath the oceans, except for the oil and natural gas, but then there are plenty others. Okay, so we'll focus on them. We look at the instruments that are used in oceanography. Oceanography is a subject which deals with the study of the ocean sciences, and that constitutes physical oceanography, biological oceanography, chemical oceanography, and geological oceanography. Okay, so ocean sciences is a very broad subject in which students of physics can flourish, students of mathematics can also flourish, and likewise the other subjects also. Okay. Can we tap energy from the oceans? Yes, so they constitute the renewable sources of energy, and which is where most of the big nations are now diverting their attention to capture clean energy. Why? Because the non-renewable resources of energy like coal, fossil fuel resources like oil and natural gas are fast depleting. That means their concentration is diminishing. So we now have to focus on the renewable resources of energy. Bay of Bengal, we have the Arabian Sea, and then we have the Indian Ocean. Okay, so we have these three different water bodies. They are all salty in nature. Why? It is because of the topographic landforms that surrounds the particular sea, partially landlocked. If you see Arabian Sea, it is locked by land, like you have the western part of India, then you have the Pakistan region, and then you have the Gulf region. So it is locked by land on the three sides. Okay? And then it is, in terms of the depths, it is relatively shallow. Shallow means, examples are Arabian Sea, and then you have the Mediterranean Sea. Okay? And there are other seas also present. When you look at the oceans, they are large bed. Okay, they are much deeper when compared with the seas. Don't focus on writing everything. Focus on the size. And oceans, as Venkatesh of the earth, the largest, and it is very dangerous also, because surrounding the Pacific Ocean you have chains of volcanoes where you periodically get earthquakes and volcanic eruptions. And that is why it is called as the ring of fire. Okay, it's called as the ring of fire. Some ocean statistics: area 361 million square kilometers, so it takes up 71% of the Earth's surface. Average depth of the ocean is around 3.7 kilometers. Volume 13 lakhs 47,000 million cubic kilometer of water is present on the Earth. And the mainland where it will condense, and then we have precipitation. And it is from there that we get the fresh water. Deepest part and the total height of the Mount Everest. And the strange fact is, we have found plastics even in the Mariana Trench. That deep, at that particular depth also, scientists have found microplastics and larger plastic debris which is lying in this particular Mariana Trench. Alright, so quickly going to the 10 interesting facts about oceans. Oceans are very important because oceans are considered as highways. We have highways on the mainland. What are those highways used for? Transportation. So public transport is there, goods are being transported from one place to another place. Similarly, oceans are also considered as highways because the economic trade, the global economy runs on the shipping transporting agencies. You have so much of vessels, so much different types of ships, small and big, that will carry containers or containing goods of different items from one country to another. Oceans are also a channel for discovering new islands. For example, Antarctica, nobody knew about Antarctica. But then those British navigators, they were able to channel through the Southern Ocean, and then they found out the continent of Antarctica. Okay? So oceans are very important for a plethora of reasons. One, all the carbon dioxide that we are emitting out in the atmosphere, oceans are absorbing this carbon dioxide. So oceans have the ability to absorb all these carbon dioxide gas and retain it within itself. But then there is a side effect. Whatever medicines that we eat will have a side effect. Okay? We often do that Google check, 1mg.com, this particular medicine, what are the side effects? Similarly, oceans are doing a good service for us. They are capturing the carbon dioxide, but at the same time there is a side effect, which is called as, the process is called as ocean acidification. So all this carbon dioxide that is coming into the water, it is getting converted into carbonic acids. Okay, and the ocean water, which is meant to be alkaline. So alkaline pH means it has to be between around 8. The ocean pH is around 8. But when so much of carbon dioxide is entering into the waters, what is happening is the pH is reducing. It is becoming more and more acidic. So you will ask me, so what is there big deal in that? Let it become acidic. There are so millions of microorganisms whose shells or whose skeletons are made up of calcium carbonate. Okay, and when these calcium carbonate organisms comes in contact with acidic waters, they will corrode and it will fast get extinct. Okay, these organisms, these microorganisms will become extinct, and please remember, once they become extinct, they do not come back. They do not come back. Dinosaurs became extinct at one point of time 65 million years ago. We do not have any dinosaurs now. Okay, so same fate will happen to these organisms. Okay, oceans absorb carbon dioxide, I said. It also absorbs all the heat that is there in the atmosphere. Okay, and it gives livelihood. It provides livelihood to so many billions of people that reside near the coastal regions. Okay, for example, tourism is one of them, fishing is one of them. Okay, waterway transports is one of them. People want to travel from, for example, in Kerala you have this Alappuzha region where you have boat transport. So people going from one region to another. Okay, so oceans are very important in terms of food resources also. Okay, so India ranks number 10 in the global fishing industry. So much of fish that has been pulled up from the Arabian Sea, from the Bay of Bengal or the Indian Ocean are all processed and then it is exported. So it is bringing us money. It is bringing us money to the government. Okay, marine fisheries. So employment is given to the fishermen who lives and all the associated industries. Okay. At the same time, coastal waters are getting eutrophied. Eutrophication is a process where all the sewage waste which is produced by us is going into these waters and they are changing the physical and the chemical nature of the water. So organisms cannot live in those particular water. Okay, so we are slowly eutrophying the coastal bodies, and there are also models which says that 20% of the large marine ecosystems are going to be severely polluted by the year 2050. Okay, so another 25 years down the line. Plastics is one of them. Then we have all these agricultural runoff. Now you will ask me why, so how come agricultural runoff? Farmers will apply insecticides, pesticides, fertilizers. Why? To get good crop. But those insecticides, pesticides and fertilizers can get transported from the fields to the rivers and finally from the rivers into the oceans. Who is transporting them? The rainwater. So when you have heavy rainfall, there will be flooding. The agricultural fields will get flood. And as Sir said, water will have to start flowing from somewhere, and it has to end somewhere. Okay, so the water from these agricultural fields will transfer all these fertilizers, insecticides, pesticides. It will go into the rivers, and the rivers ultimately debouches into the Arabian Sea. Okay, so fertilizers are one form of pollutant through which the microorganisms living in the water can get extinct, can get wiped out. Plastics is another one of them, untreated sewage also. So we'll see that later. Alright, 680 million people live near the coastal zones. This is not about India but the entire global community. They are at threat because of coastal flooding. What is coastal flooding? You have high tides in a day. For our region, you will have 2 times of high tides and 2 times of low tides. So during high tides, the water will enter the beach area, and when you have heavy rainfall at the same time, dual action is there. The entire water is coming into the coast, and it will lead to severe coastal erosion. Coastal erosion is eating away the beach area. And if you have any houses that are constructed on this particular region, those houses will also get collapsed and become a part of the ocean. This year itself in Mangalore, I saw on Twitter that 1 or 2 houses, they collapsed and became a part of the Arabian Sea somewhere in July. Okay, so this is also expected to increase. Why? Because the sea level that you see, the sea level today, the sea level will be at a particular level, but every year the sea level is increasing by 3.8 millimeters. 3.8 millimeters, that's the average rate of which the sea level is increasing. Now how does the sea level increase? Global warming is the name suggested by some scientists, but what is the process? Very good, glaciers. Where are all the glaciers? You have Arctic Ocean, you have the Greenland, okay, in the northern hemisphere. It is having all of ice. Then you have the Himalaya, which is having a lot of glaciers. Then you have the largest refrigerator on our planet, that is Antarctica. The world's 98% ice is all locked in Antarctica. Okay, and the moment the global, the ocean atmospheric temperature increases, ice is very sensitive. You take an ice cream out of the freezer and keep it outside, within fraction of minutes it becomes water. So similarly, as the atmospheric temperature over Antarctica warms up, even a fraction of increase is enough to melt a large chunk of ice. Okay, so all those water has to come somewhere, and water will come and get deposited in a basin, and our oceans are nothing but a basin. Okay, it's a depression in which the water. So as this fresh water is coming into the ocean, the sea level rises up. And then there is another cause that is called as thermal expansion. Thermal expansion. So when you have the sunlight hitting the ocean surface, the water will start expanding. So 2 reasons through which sea level rises. One is melting of glaciers and ice sheets contributing the fresh water, and second is the thermal expansion. So when that happens, and I said 3.8 millimeters per year, but how did I come to that particular conclusion? It is from the data obtained from satellites. It was in 1978 that the first satellite was deployed, and those satellites are able to capture all this particular data. Sea level, how much is it increasing? So NASA has created a very interactive plot. So if you follow their NASA Twitter website handle, every year the sea level is increasing by how much millimeters is accurately predicted or forecasted. And making use of those instrumental data, satellite is an instrument. So using that data, we can forecast that by 2050, the ocean level will increase by how much? So what happens? If the ocean level increases by few millimeters every year, what happens? Oceans are entering into the land, and all the community, the coastal community, people living on the coast will have to shift further inland. For example, Antarctica has so much of ice that if you melt it, if we all go together and melt all the ice, the sea level will increase by 73 meters. That is already predicted. Modeling has been done. Computer modeling says that if all the ice in Antarctica melts, the global ocean level will increase by 73 meters. Manipal is at an altitude of around 95 meters from the sea level. So the Arabian Sea will be in touching distance for me and my students who are working there. Okay, and the other low-lying areas that are there, Bangladesh is a perfect example, will be completely wiped out. Okay, so that's the impact of sea level rise. Who is contributing to it? We, because we are doing all this industrialization, all those carbon dioxide is pumped into the atmosphere. We do not know what is happening in the atmosphere, but atmosphere also there are winds. Those winds are transporting these carbon dioxide and the other gases to different parts of our planet. And when the temperature warms up, the ice will start melting up. Last year you would have seen something called as Larsen A, Larsen B, Larsen C. It was widely circulated in the newspapers. So they were of the size of some country. All those ice had ripped off from Antarctica. They have broken apart from Antarctica, and now they are wandering in the Southern Ocean. Southern Ocean is the name of the ocean which surrounds Antarctica. Now when those icebergs, you must have seen icebergs. How many of you have seen Titanic? Right? So Titanic sank because it collided with an iceberg. Icebergs come from where? They come from Antarctica. They come from Antarctica. Okay? They break off from the Antarctic continent and start wandering in the Southern Ocean. Now when those icebergs come in contact with warmer waters, they will start melting up. Okay? So that's the reason. So coastal communities are largely at risk because of several reasons. One of them is what I said just now. Important because for the transportation, okay, and also for contributing to the economic growth of the country. Okay, so if you see this particular circle, two-circle diagram over here, in the inside circle you see that ocean is an ecosystem. Now, what is an ecosystem? Where the living thing and the non-living thing live in harmonious relationship. Okay, so you have say different corals and the fish, then you have smaller microorganisms, you have the walrus which is resting on a piece of ice, okay, which is resting. So for them, for that walrus, that piece of ice is a service provider. Okay, it is getting a service. Then you have this kelp forest. Kelp forests are found in these coastal regions, and you see sea urchins all living in a harmonious relationship. So this ocean is providing service to the human beings. So the services that are offered is subsistence harvest. Subsistence harvest is like in some countries like Philippines, they grow seaweeds. They grow a type of plant, and that plant can be used for producing fertilizers or also for medicinal purposes. Okay. Then you have shoreline protection. So oceans, nature has created these beaches to protect us from the ocean hazards. Ocean hazards are like cyclonic storms, tsunamis. But then what we are doing is we are just going and damaging the beaches. I will show later on examples of why the beaches are considered to be more important. Okay, and hence it needs to be protected. Okay. Then you have cultural identity. So we are fortunate, like Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Goa, Gujarat, Maharashtra, Andhra Pradesh, we have the beauty of the oceans around us. Whereas if you go to the Himachal Pradesh, Delhi, they do not have this beauty. So they always want to come to the coastal regions for their vacations so that they can have a good feel about the oceans. Okay, so cultural identity is there. Then aquaculture is really picking up in Karnataka. So farmers are shifting their focus from agriculture to aquaculture, where they are given subsidy by the state government and also the central government, and they breed different varieties of fish. And these fish, when they are grown up, they are harvested and taken to the fish market. So that is aquaculture. Then of course large scale fishing is carried out, and then you also have tourism. Okay, so these are the services through which human beings can fetch value because by doing all these activities we are getting money, and that is contributing to the country's economy. Okay. Now moving to the next part, how did the ocean basins form? Okay, our earth is almost 4.7 billion years old. Okay, 4,700 million years old, that's when the earth formed. And if you see in this particular, a professor by the name Dr. Wilson, he had proposed this particular theory as to how these ocean basins are formed. If you see this particular part over here, this is a continental crust. It's just a land. Now when that continental crust is pulled from both sides, pulled away from both sides, there is a rift which is created in the middle. Okay, you can see this is pulled on both sides, these arrows, and there is a rift which is created in the middle. It is from that rift magma is coming out. Okay, so magma is the volcanic material. When it is underneath the earth's surface, it is called as magma. When it comes outside, it is called as lava. Okay, so when that lava comes out of this particular rift, okay, it starts creating a new sea. Okay, it is creating a new sea over here. So you can see here all these black materials that you see, they are nothing but the volcanic rocks. When this lava comes out on the sea surface, it solidifies and it creates a crust. Okay, that's called as the oceanic crust. And when you have precipitation, rainfall, all that water will come and get collected in this particular region. So that's how we have the creation of all the oceanic basins on our planet. Okay. Now, oceans have also got mountain chains. Can you name some mountain chains on the land? Mountain chains. Himalaya, very good. Any others? Mount Everest is a part of the Himalayan chain itself. So I'm talking about a chain of mountains. So Himalaya is very good. Sahyadri, okay fine, Western Ghats. It's again a mountain range. Very good. Alps, excellent. From this side. Very good. Mount Andes in South America. Then you have the Alps. Then you have the Appalachians. These are all, when you look from the space, ladies and gentlemen, when you look from the space, they look like a linear feature. They look like a linear feature. Okay. So you have these mountain ranges on the land. Similar mountain ranges are also found inside the oceans. They are called as mid-oceanic ridges. They are called as mid-oceanic ridges. So you see here oceanic ridge. It is from here that the rift occurred, the crack occurred in the crust, and from here the volcano is coming out in the form of lava. Okay. So if you see this particular map over here, all the red portion, all these red linear feature that you see, they are your mid-oceanic ridges, and they are the longest chain of mountains on our planet. They run to almost 74,000 kilometers. Okay, they run to almost 74,000 kilometers. And now this is the ring of fire. I was talking about ring of fire earlier on. So this is the Pacific Ocean, this is the Atlantic Ocean, and you have right at the center of the Atlantic ridge, the mid-Atlantic ridge. Then you see this is the Indian Ocean, so you have the Indian ridge. And this junction over here, it is called as a triple junction. It is called as a triple junction because you have the mid-oceanic ridges from the Pacific Ocean, Indian Ocean and the Atlantic Ocean all coming and joining at a particular point. Okay, triple junction. And continuation of that same plot, all the red dots that you see, they are earthquake origin of earthquakes, and the black triangles are all active volcanoes. The black triangles are active volcanoes. If I have to superimpose the previous map on this, you see all of them are located near your ridges. So your mid-oceanic ridges, the Pacific Ring of Fire, mid-Indian ridge, they are all vulnerable areas for volcanic eruptions and earthquakes occurring underneath the ocean. Underneath the ocean, I'm not talking about the land. On the land also similarly, if you see here, this is your Himalayan mountain chain. If you see the laser pointer, this is your Himalayan mountain chain, because several million, hundreds of millions years ago, the Indian plate was moving towards the Tibetan plate. It came together, joined, and that's how we have the Himalaya. So that Himalaya zone is also a zone of vulnerability, because there also we find earthquakes happening on a daily scale. Micro earthquakes taking place, one sudden burst and you will have a macro sized earthquake. Okay. So, but underneath the oceans you have every now and then earthquakes and volcanic eruptions occurring. How does the ocean floor look like? It looks very much like land. Okay, it looks very much like land. We will have hills, small hills, we see mountain ranges. So similarly, even underneath the ocean, you can find a volcanic seamount, volcanic island. You have guyot. Guyot means it is submerged underneath the sea level. This is your mid-oceanic ridge from where the lava is pouring out. Okay, you have a slope system. So everything that you see on our land over here, the same thing is found even underneath the ocean. So you have this very flat land. It is called as abyssal plain. So it's kind of a plateau land. You just keep walking on it without any hindrances. Okay, so they are called as abyssal plain. Who owns these resources and who can utilize them? So in 1982, there was a law of the sea treaty which was formed, and it said that no individual or country can be the actual owners of any resources. No country has any rights. Okay, they are a common heritage of mankind. Okay, it is for the human beings that will be living on this planet. So rules and regulations have been formed as part of this treaty, and they need to be strictly followed by all the countries. If there are any if any country does not follow the rules, actions will be initiated at the international level. So there is a international body called as ISA, International Seabed Authority. International Seabed Authority, they will be taking actions against any countries if these rules are not properly followed. So as Sir said, you have up to 200 nautical miles. It is called as the exclusive economic zone. Then you have the territorial sea, which is very close to the land. So India also has got its own exclusive economic zone. So this area which is marked over here belongs to India. That means India has the right to do fishing in our waters. They have the right. We have the right to mine oil and natural gas. But only thing, we need to inform the International Seabed Authority that we are doing all these activities, but we are doing within our own exclusive economic zone. The moment India wants to go outside this particular line, then it needs formal permission from the International Seabed Authority. And then there are politically it's quite a problematic area to get permissions, because there will be other countries which will be saying that no, we cannot allow India to come into this particular part. Okay. So that's about the EEZ. Now the next part, mineral deposits. Now how do you define an ore mineral? Have you heard about ore mineral? How do you define it as like ore? Ore, any substance which fetches economic value to a particular nation. Okay, it's called as a ore. Okay, so India is into mining. Okay, we mine iron ore, we mine different uranium ores, different copper ores, etc. from different parts of our planet in our country, and using it for variety of applications. But then when these ores, the land resources depletes, that means its concentration is decreasing faster, then what do we do next? We need to move to the oceans to look at mineral resources that are present on the seabed. Okay, so the next few slides will give you an idea of what are the different types of resources that are available on the oceans. The first one and the most famous one is the manganese nodules. It is also called as polymetallic nodules. Poly means many, metallic means you have different types of metals which makes up this particular nodule. Okay, scientists also call it as black potatoes. They call them as black potatoes. Now these black potatoes, they grow very slowly. They take almost few millimeters, takes 1 million years. MA is million years, million annum. So 1 millimeter takes almost 1 million years to grow. That's how slow their growth is. Okay. Why they are important? Because they contain polymetals like copper, cobalt, nickel, iron, manganese. But why have I highlighted Cu, Co and Ni? Because their land resources are minimal. Their concentration is very low inside the land, in our land. The 29% of land that is there, their resources are very low. And copper, cobalt, nickel is needed by the global ammunition industry. All the AK-47, all the different sorts of defense items that needs to be manufactured, they need copper, cobalt and nickel. So that is why oceanographers are now focused on to find how much of polymetallic nodules are there on the ocean surface, on the ocean bed, whether they can be effectively mined for the different applications. Okay, so that's the first one, the black potato. Okay, some more pictures. So they are all nodule-like objects. We have them even in the Arabian Sea. You have the different types of fish and organisms that surround this particular habitat of manganese nodules. In the background you will see all these black shapes, black potatoes. So you can see all of these animals, they are moving on the surface of these particular black potatoes here also. Okay. If you see their concentration in different oceans, it's not clear. Alright, anyways, this is Pacific Ocean, which has got the largest concentration of polymetallic nodules, almost 50 kilograms per square meter. In 1 square meter they get 15 kilograms of nodules. So you can then quantify it for the total length of the dimensions of the Pacific Ocean. Indian Ocean has got slightly lesser concentration, 5 kilograms per square meter, but then it is for a developing country like us, it is still a valuable resource. Okay. Similarly, Atlantic Ocean has also got 5 kilograms per square meters of polymetallic nodules. Next we go to the next mineral is ferromanganese crust. Okay, these the formation process is the same as your polymetallic nodules, but then they will deposit on rock surface. So that surface should not be covered with sediments. So they will usually be found on mountain chains which are lying underneath the oceans. So on the top surface they will be forming a nice crust, like how in pizza we have the bread and then we have the toppings, okay, that crust. So here you can see here, this is the hard rock, and on top of that you have this iron manganese crust which has been formed or which has been deposited. Again, geologically it takes millions of years for these crusts to form. Again, they are famous for their copper, cobalt and nickel content. Their thickness can be few millimeters to 260 millimeters. Water depths from 600 meters deep to 7,000 meters, we can find them in the oceans. Okay. Next are phosphorites. So these are all phosphatic nodules which are mainly used in the fertilizer industry. They are mainly used in the fertilizer industry. So they are also, they contain 15 to 20% of phosphate in it. Okay. Next you have the volcanogenic massive sulfide deposits. Okay. So if you focus on this diagram over here, this is found near your mid-oceanic ridges. So mid-oceanic ridges are already a topographic high. They are a chain of mountains. Next to them, you will find some chimneys that are forming. Chimneys. We have industries. Those industries have chimneys. What do those chimneys do? They will emit all the waste gases into the atmosphere. These chimneys are useful for mankind because they are emitting out elements brought from underneath the ocean, and those elements goes on to form your ore minerals. Okay. So underneath you have a oceanic basin, volcanic basin over here. Temperature is 1200 degrees Celsius. The hot water, becomes hot, and it picks up all the metals from the underneath rocks, all those metals that are there, platinum, gold, etc., and it will all come out through this particular vent over here. So that's the chimney. And once it comes into the seawater is very cold. Seawater, the temperature at the bottommost layer is around 2 to 4 degrees Celsius. 2 to 4 degrees Celsius. So this hot water, which is 300 degrees Celsius, comes in contact with cold water. There is a shift in the physicochemical processes, and those minerals will start precipitating out. So you can see here, sulfide is getting precipitated, and they go on to form sulfide mountains of sulfidic minerals. Those mountains of sulfidic minerals will contain gold, they will contain platinum, they will contain silver, and they will contain all the different important minerals which are used by the semiconductor industry. All the smartphones, the laptops, the tablets, the semiconductors, chips that are made, they come from minerals that have been explored from these regions. Okay, so these are also very important. I have some pictures for you. This is how a chimney looks like. Who went there? I did not go there. It's a robot which went to one of these chimneys. You can see here, this is the robotic arm. So you have several submersibles. Submersibles are vessels in which human beings can sit inside, go to the deepest part of the ocean, and whatever samples they want, they can make use of these robotic arms to pick, put it in their basket, come back to the surface and do examinations, physical, chemical or biological studies. So these submersibles are very important because they can reach to even deeper depths, up to 5,000 to 6,000 meters deeper, where human beings cannot. Why cannot human beings reach there? Very good. The water pressure is immense at the deepest part. Okay, you have all this hydrostatic pressure which is hitting you from all sides and you cannot sustain. That is why we make these type of submersible vessels. 2 scientists at a time can get into that vessel, go deep and then do their exercise and come back. Now you have even automated vessels, automatic. You just sit in your mothership vessel, control this particular fellow who will go down, bring the samples and come back. They are well equipped with cameras, focus lights. Ocean bottom is totally dark, pitch dark, because light cannot reach up to that particular depth. So you need highly efficient focus lights which are switched on. They can see what all features are available on the surface. If I want a particular type of rock sample, I can automate it. The robotic arm will take that and come back. Okay. Again, one more image. And the beauty of these chimneys are, if you see the previous figure, there are some worms also present. They are called as vestimentiferan worms. They are a species of bacteria which thrives only in this particular environment. And they do not make use of photosynthesis for production of their food. They make use of chemosynthesis. So all the chemical energy that is derived over here, these bacteria are using for their growth. Okay, they are called as vestimentiferan worms. Okay. Then you have metalliferous sediments. So what are sediments? The rivers are transporting soils from our land and depositing them into the ocean. Okay, depositing them into the ocean. So they are called as sediments. But you also find metalliferous sediment. That means the concentration of metals that are present in those are very high. Okay, if you can see this particular table over here, you have iron, manganese, silica, aluminium, titanium, barium. For the metalliferous sediments, the concentration of iron is 16.86%. At the same time, the concentration for iron in the background sediments are sediments which are very close to our coast. We can consider it as background sediments. But the iron content in those background sediments is only 5 or 6%. So where is that additional 11% coming? It is coming again from the mid-oceanic ridge activity. Okay, so mid-oceanic ridges are a very important system which gives us economically important minerals. So this is how a metalliferous sediment looks like. This is a sediment core. Scientists will go to the oceans, they will deploy huge pipes, and in those pipes we can collect sediments from the deepest part of the oceans. So you can see the color, it is highly orangish in color, which tells the concentration of iron and manganese that are present. This you are already familiar with, oil and natural gas deposits. In India we have it in the Bombay High, Gulf of Cambay, in the Bay of Bengal, the Krishna Godavari, the Mahanadi, they are all rich. They are rich petroliferous basins, and now companies like the Reliance, Kane, they are all into drilling activities along with ONGC. Okay. Another variant of deposit is the gas hydrate deposits. So these gas hydrates are gas molecules which are trapped inside the water molecules. So all these green are the gas and they are trapped inside the water molecules, and when 1 cubic meter of this gas hydrate is brought to the surface, it expands to almost 164 cubic meters. So that much amount of gas can be explored from these gas hydrates, and fortunately in the Indian Ocean we have plenty of reserves of these gas hydrates. Currently the National Institute of Oceanography in Goa is having a nationwide project to find out regions in the Indian Ocean, in the Bay of Bengal and the Arabian Sea, to find out places where these gas hydrate reserves are there. Okay, so that project name is called as NGHP, National Gas Hydrate Project. Okay, and it's working on mission mode. Then you have placer mineral deposits. Now what are these placer? We have rivers which are eroding the land. Rivers are eroding the land, and in the land you have different varieties of minerals. Okay, these minerals will get transported and deposited in the ocean. So some of those minerals are called as heavy minerals. Why? Because their specific gravity is high. Their density is high, that's why they are called as heavies or heavy minerals. Examples of those heavy minerals are, sorry, I'll remind you later. Examples of those placer minerals are gold, tin, thorium, iron, rare earth elements, zirconium. I will also include diamond to this list. Africa, the continent of Africa has got rich reserves of diamond, and people, especially the fishermen, they have found placers of diamonds in the rivers. They have found placers of diamonds in their rivers, and they have become rich overnight. Okay, so they are also a part of the mineral resources which are found in the oceans. Okay, but they are very close to the oceans because the rivers are entering in the oceans over here. So these regions are also, even our regions are very rich in thorium reserves, especially Kerala. If people are there from Kerala, near Kollam beach. Yes. What's the name of that mining company? Anyways. He quickly raised his hand. I was excited. I'll get the name. Other than that, seawater. Seawater contains enormously high concentrations of sodium and chloride. Okay, Na and Cl. So we get salt from it. Salt is also very important. If the food is not salty, we do not like to eat it. Okay, we get chemicals, we get drugs. Okay, we can create medicinal drugs from the seawater also. Then the next, food resources. Plenty of varieties of fish are available in our oceans, and India ranks currently number 10th in the global fish production. Okay. What are the instruments? Now, in the older times, like the 17th century, the 16th century, people did not have much knowledge about the oceans. They only considered, okay, fine, there is water at our eye level, but then we do not know what is there at the deepest part. What is the depth of the ocean? Is it 1 kilometer deep or is it 10 kilometers deep? Though no information was there. But then, with the help of scientists, with the help of engineers, now we have a variety of instruments as shown in this particular diagram, which can study the surface of the oceans, the middle levels of the oceans, and also the bottom levels of the oceans. Okay, they are all, some of them make use of acoustic principles, as simple. There is an instrument called as echo sounder. So it will be placed underneath the hull of the ship. It will send sound signals. That sound signal will travel, it will hit some surface and then come back. So the time taken for that sound wave to travel both sides is used to measure the depth. Okay, so measurement of depth, that is known as bathymetry. Bathymetry is nothing but the study of the depth. Okay, so you have variety of devices which helps us in collecting the samples. Now this is one image. I showed you polymetallic nodules. I showed you polymetallic nodules or manganese nodules. So on the bottom of this sea, you will find all these nodules that are deposited. But then how do we pick them up? How do we pick them up? That particular submersible cannot pick the entire nodules, that 5 kilogram per meter square, that statistics that I showed. A submersible cannot pick it up. So we need some state-of-the-art instrument that can go onto the ocean floor. Like this over here, there is a seafloor production tool. It is controlled by a mother vessel, the production support vessel, and this seafloor production machine will walk on the surface of the ocean. It will pick up all these nodules. Those nodules are pumped up back to the vessel, and that vessel will then transfer all the ore material to this particular barge bulk carrier. So that carrier will then take it back to the refineries that are present nearby. Okay, but then there are harmful effects for this particular exercise. There is severe amount of environmental pollution that will occur. Okay, so this is just a protocol which has been created by companies. More research is currently being done to see what is the environmental impact assessment of doing such a activity. Okay. Some photographs of the variety of instruments that we have. So you have ADCP, acoustic Doppler current profiler. It measures how quickly or slowly the currents in the oceans move. These currents, we have electrical wires. What are their roles? To transfer electricity from one point to other. We have blood vessels in our body. What's the role? To transfer blood, oxygen from one part to the other part. Similarly, there are currents underneath the oceans. What is their role? To transport sediments from one portion to another, to transport heat from one portion to another, to transport nutrients from one portion to another. Okay. So to measure that, we have ADCP, then you have azimuth. Azimuth is usually to see how the sea and the ocean, atmosphere are interacting. So we will have, it will be usually floating on the surface of the ocean water. Then you have biomapper. It is purely meant for biological oceanographic studies to see how much of zooplankton is present in a given area. Okay. Then you have a box corer. So this is if I want to take a sediment core from the ocean surface, this is the device I make use of. A grab sampler. If you want surface sediments again, you have a grab sampler. This is a sediment trap. So this sediment trap has a large funnel, and it will be placed at a particular depth in the ocean water, and whatever sediments that are falling or whatever biological organisms that are falling will all be trapped in this particular sediment trap. Okay. Then you have a bongo net. This is again run on the surface of water. It's useful to collect biological organisms. Okay. You have if I want to collect water sample from the different depths of the ocean, I make use of the Niskin sampler over here. Then this is a large coring device. It's called as a gravity corer. So it is on the top you will have lead weights over here, almost 65 to 80 kgs of lead weight, and it is just dropped from the ship. The moment it touches the ocean bed, because of the gravity, it will just penetrate inside. Okay, it will just penetrate inside, and all the sediments that are there will get filled in the tube. Those sedimentary layers are important because I and my team make use of these sedimentary layers, and we reconstruct how the climate in that particular region changed in the last 40,000 years or even 80,000 years, because these sediments can give us insights about Earth's climate in the geological past. So to collect a good sediment core, we make use of this particular device. Then you have another surface mounting float, Argo. It is called as Argo, which takes the ocean temperature data, the ocean salinity data, the dissolved oxygen data for a depth of 0 to 2000 meters only. It's designed to be only in the depth range of 0 to 2000 meters. Okay, Argo floats. Like that, there are variety of other instruments available. You have DART. Now you must be knowing about tsunamis, right? Tsunamis. Okay, how does tsunami generate? Okay, submarine earthquake, submarine volcanic eruption. If there is submarine landslide, that's the third, and the fourth one. If there is asteroid impact, very good, somebody said asteroid. So if there is, that's the rarest of the rare. Asteroid impact was the main reason why we lost dinosaurs from the surface, from the Earth's surface. So submarine earthquake, submarine landslide, submarine volcanic eruptions, and then in the rarest of the rare opportunities, you will have asteroid impacts. So to know when a tsunami wave is going to hit the Indian coast, we have this type of a device. It is called as DART, which is Deep Ocean Assessment and Reporting of Tsunamis. Okay, so this DART is made up of a surface buoy. This fellow will always be floating on the surface of water, and it is acoustically, with the help of sound signals, it is connected to a tsunameter. This tsunameter is mounted on the bed itself. It will not move from there. So whenever an earthquake or a volcanic eruption occurs, there will be changes in the water pressure. So this tsunameter has got a BPR. It has got a device which senses the pressure changes, and if there is any significant changes in the pressure, that information through acoustic is transferred to the surface buoy. From the surface buoy, it goes to satellite. There is a GPS connected, and from the satellite, the data is coming to the tsunami warning center. So scientists, with the help of computer modeling, they will predict at what time this particular tsunami wave is going to hit the coast of Chennai. Okay, so they will get the time, and immediately that message will be passed on to the district administration to initiate evacuation measures. Okay, prior to 2004, India did not have any of these DARTs, but because tsunami occurred in 2004, now the Ministry of Earth Sciences, Government of India have deployed several such DART devices in different parts of the Indian Ocean. Okay. So quick. Can we tap energy from the oceans? Yes. All the renewable resources of energy, for example, tidal energy is there, wave energy is there. You have another variety called as the ocean thermal energy conversion. All of them gives us clean energy, and it continues to give us for a very long time. It will not deplete. Okay, it will not die, unlike the non-renewable resources of energy like coal and oil. Okay. So we have some tidal power stations. They are renewable and non-polluting. This is the photo of ocean thermal energy conversion. We have one such plant in Tuticorin, which is operational. Okay. It uses the differences in the temperature of the seawater. Seawater at the surface is warmer, around 28 degrees Celsius, and seawater at the bottom is cooler, say 10 or 12 degrees Celsius at the bottom, and that temperature difference is made use of by this particular plant to generate clean energy. And the electricity that is derived is transferred to the grid, and then it is utilized by people. This is a wave energy plant. In India, we have it in Kerala, in Vizhinjam. Okay, so this makes use of the surface waves, the energy obtained from the surface waves. It is connected to a turbine, and that turbine generates the electricity. Life in the oceans, there are plenty. So much of organisms are still to be explored. They are still to be explored. So you have foraminifera, you have diatoms, you have pteropods, you have radiolarians, you have so many of them. Okay. Coral reefs. Have you seen any coral reefs? Coral reefs are basically made up of calcium carbonate. Okay, and they have a symbiotic relationship with a type of algae which is called as zooxanthellae. Okay. Now, why is the coral reef so colorful over here? because of the algae. Okay, so the coral reef is providing a house to the algae. The algae is staying there, and algae, because it is colorful, it is making the coral much more beautiful. But the corals also suffer from a problem called as coral bleaching. Now what is coral bleaching? When the water gets polluted, all these algae are very sensitive. They will migrate. They will leave that particular coral structure and move in search of a new coral. So as these zooxanthellae algae leave the coral becomes white in color. So that is coral bleaching. Okay. Marine sediments. So the sediments that are found in the bottom of the oceans, they are made up of different of organisms. They are made up of clastic particles which are transported by the land. You have aeolian particles. You have deserts, right? We have Thar desert, we have Sahara desert. So when the winds are flowing over these deserts, plastic, marine pollution, ocean warming, you have eutrophication, is all the sewage waste which is going. You have acidification, carbon dioxide getting trapped and it is getting acidified, overfishing. Because of greed, the fishermen will go and continue to overfish. Okay, so that is affecting the fishery population in that particular region. Sorry, I skip this. I go to my favorite topic. Skip this. Plastic ocean. So the coastal community is mostly producing almost 2.5 billion metric tons of the solid waste. Solid waste, the plastic waste is being generated. From that, 275 million metric tons is called as a plastic waste. 275 million metric tons. You can add the number of zeros. Okay. And what happens to that? 8 million metric tons of plastic comes into the ocean. 8 million metric tons of plastic. Now what happens to these plastic? What happens really to these plastic? Here you can see a size chart. So plastics can be segregated into different categories based on their sizes. They can be megaplastics, as you can see this bucket or the net. Anything greater than 1 meter is called megaplastic. Between 1 and 2.5 centimeters, it is called as macroplastic. So your small poly cover, poly bags, Ziploc bags. You have all your toothbrush bristles, the hair combs that we have. They are constituted as mesoplastics. So between 2.5 centimeters and 5 millimeters. And when we go further down, less than 5 millimeters, it is called as microplastics. We go less than 1 micron, it is called as nanoplastics. So to observe microplastics and nanoplastics, these four eyes are not sufficient. I need to make use of a microscope to look at these microplastics. Okay. Next, in terms of the toxicity. Now what do you mean by toxicity? Toxic, harmful or poisonous to any human being or to any organism. In the previous slide, you saw the sizes of plastics. Megaplastics, macroplastics, mesoplastics, microplastics, nanoplastics. You see the physical effect and the chemical effect. For a larger plastic, it will be mostly the physical problem that will create to any organism, as seen in this photo over here. As seen in the photos over here. Those turtles, those fish are getting entangled in those plastic nets. So it is the physical effect. Okay. And as the size decreases, so from micro it is going to nano, the chemical effect is more. Okay, the chemical effect is more. So there are all these smaller organisms. Now plastics is a byproduct of petroleum. Okay, plastic is a byproduct of petroleum. So if I am a plastic manufacturer, I manufacture chairs. I will take the raw plastic product and then take it back into my factory. I'll add some chemical additives to it, chemicals like lead, zinc, cadmium, anything, to make my product. Then I'll sell it in the market. You buy that product from the market. And then after a few years, those plastics will begin to degrade. Degrade means disintegrate into smaller and smaller pieces. They become nanoplastics, they become microplastics. And when they come into the oceans, these chemicals will start leaching out. Leaching means it is getting separated. And those chemicals will come back into the water. We are talking about lead, we are talking about cadmium, we are talking about zinc. And when the organisms, they do not know what they are eating, they find food, they will open their mouth, consume it. And all those chemicals, when it goes into their gut, it will cause diseases. Plastics, when they eat plastics, plastic does not get digested. Ladies and gentlemen, plastic does not get digested. So when a fish, including the large whale, when it opens its huge mouth, all the plastic waste is going into its gut and it will stay there for a long period of time. When you eat food, you don't feel hungry, right, immediately, but our food gets digested and then after 3 or 4 hours we start getting hungry. Those poor creatures, they do not feel hungry because they feel that there is already something there in the stomach. But those waste material are not giving any nutrition to those poor animals. Ultimately, due to malnutrition, they die. So this happens with the smallest plankton, the zooplankton. There are evidence of microplastics even in their body. Those zooplankton are eaten by smaller fish. The larger fish will eat them, and then human beings will eat those fish. Okay, so that's the level of damage that we have done to the environment today. Now these are some photos from my research group. I have the fortunate of having 3 of my research students, Alan, Anushri and Manu. They are working on some mini projects related to microplastics in our lab. These are some photos that we found from microplastics that were present in the St. Mary's Island. St. Mary's Island is an exotic place. The district administration has created very stringent rules. There is no plastic. Tourists cannot take any plastic. And whatever plastic waste is there, the tourist himself needs to carry. But still in the water samples of St. Mary's Island and the sediments, beach sediments, we found these microplastics. Ladies and gentlemen, look at the scale. We are talking about 1 millimeter, 2 millimeter. They come of different size, shapes. This is a pellet. This is a pellet, a small size pellet. It is used in face wash. Face wash has got all these micro beads. They are less than 1 millimeter in size. They are created for a specific purpose. All the dust that is there on our face will get abraded by these micro pellets. When these micro pellets goes into the drainage system, the sewage treatment plants are not efficient to pick out these micro pellets or micro beads. Ultimately, it goes into the river. River will take it into the ocean, and then the ocean currents. Some time back I said about currents, right? These currents will keep them dispersed in the ocean itself. And they are all buoyant particles. Because they have very low density, they will remain floating in the surface itself. Okay, so these are some photographs from the research that I am doing with the help of my team. So you have these fibers. Where are these fibers coming from? All the synthetic textiles that we wear, the polyester t-shirts, sports people, they'll wear. When you wash it, those fibers are released, and that photograph is from a polyester t-shirt. Okay, washing machine releases close to 6 lakh fibers of a 6.2 kilogram polyester. A research has been done. In United Kingdom, what they did, 6.2 kilograms of synthetic fabrics were washed, and from that 6 lakh fibrous particles were released. Okay? And all of them go into the oceans. This I already explained. You have plastics, microplastics everywhere. They'll get disintegrated due to mechanical forces or microbial forces or photodegradation, and you find them everywhere. And all organisms are not alien to plastics anymore. That's why we see plastics even on the Mariana Trench. Even on the Mariana Trench. So these are some snapshots of the work that we have done at Manipal Institute of Technology. Like in 2018, I initiated the microplastics research group, and we have come out with work on Netravati River, Netravati river is also, it's considered as lifeline of Dakshin Kannada. Why? Because we get our drinking water. So the moment this publication came out, next day Times of India came up with an article saying the lifeline of Dakshin Kannada is contaminated with microplastics. And this is the same water that we consume. Tankers come from these Netravati river, go to apartments and transport water. Okay. We did another study on Manipal Lake. Manipal Lake, very close to us, very dear to us. So I told my MTech project student, just go out and see how much of microplastics are there. So she came out with a very interesting study, and very important because amphibians of different varieties live in the Manipal Lake. And there are research which says that amphibians also consume microplastics. We have found microplastics present in their gut. So this is one study. And the latest one was from St. Mary's Island. The photographs that you saw previously, micro photographs of microplastics, they are from the St. Mary's Island. Okay. So ultimately we come to this particular talk is we need to save the oceans. Enough has been done to the oceans. Oceans cannot take it to a certain extent, yes. So whatever plastic that we dump into the oceans, the ocean gives it back. If you have seen the Twitter feed in in June or July, in the Arabian Sea in Mumbai, on the beach, a huge debris of plastic was given back by the Arabian Sea itself during the floods that occurred over there. Okay. So they are very important to us in many ways. You have seen from this talk probably, you would have appreciated marine food resources are there, mineral resources are there. We need to protect them. Okay. Because the future economy of the nations, of different nations, are purely dependent on what products we are going to get from the oceans. Okay. So large parts of the oceans are still unexplored. So that's why I invite, ocean sciences does not discriminate between engineers or doctors. So ocean sciences, if you're good in physics, you can contribute to the physical oceanography. Good in biology, you are welcome. You're good in chemistry, chemical oceanography is open. So it's an interrelated subject, and we need more and more manpower for this particular task. Okay. Now yesterday KV Rao sir told me that please include this particular slide because many of the youngsters do not know the importance of the beach. Now beach, you know how the beach is created? The rivers, where do the sands come from? The rivers, the beach sands. Where does it come from? The rivers are transporting billions of tons of sediments. Billions of tons of sediments. Small rivers, big rivers. These sediments, when they come into the ocean, when they meet the ocean, you have the hydrodynamic action of the waves, which is in continuous movement, will distribute the sand particles on the coastline. So that's how we get our beaches. And every year the beaches needs to be nourished. Nourished means it needs to be fed with sediments. Now if the beach is getting polluted, if the beach is getting further eroded away, if human beings are going and encroaching the beach area by constructing houses, by constructing resorts, then nature will give us back. Nature will give us back. And there are enough documentary evidence which has shown how nature has given us back, because we are venturing into nature's area. So my PhD supervisor, Professor R. Shankar, used to say that beaches are acting as a buffer zone. It's the nature's playhouse, play area for the oceans. Beaches are considered as a play area for the oceans. Give enough width and then you start your construction activities. Okay. So recreational activities, we all go to the beach to enjoy. You have a lot of water sports activities, especially in Goa. Now it is picking up in Karnataka also. So recreational activities is one of them. Then climate change. If you have a very wide beach, the effect of cyclonic storms and effect of tsunami waves will be less when considered to a very narrow beach. And in the coastal regions, we also plant mangroves. Mangroves are highly resilient plants. They can sustain these huge waves of the oceans and also the tsunami waves. It can protect us. Okay. They are permanent. Beaches are permanent habitats for plants and animals. You have these crabs. Okay, if you have gone, and there are millions of microorganisms which for them beach is their permanent house. Now if we keep on polluting the beach environment, you know what happens to them. Okay, and some of the marine animals are there. Turtles, they like to come to the beach to hatch their eggs and to bring up their young ones to give birth and etc. Okay, hence 17 September is a very important day for all of us, and I believe we should not celebrate this International Beach Day only on September 17, but it should be done every day. Because I'll tell you one thing, 17th we all will go to the beach, clean the beach. Next day you come, you will again find the debris. Who is bringing them? The oceans are coming back. The high tides will again bring the plastic particles, and it will get deposited on the beach. So hence it should be a daily affair. It should be a daily affair. Okay. So one thing I wanted to say, there was a discussion about Great Garbage Pacific Patch. It is called as, no, Great Pacific Garbage Patch, sorry, GP, Great Pacific Garbage Patch. Why do we find these Great Pacific Garbage Patch? In the oceans, we have 5 oceans. So in each of these oceans, there are 2 gyres. Gyres is a circular current which is found in the Atlantic Ocean. One in the North Atlantic Ocean, you have 1 gyre, and one in the South Atlantic Ocean. You have 2 such gyres in the Pacific Ocean, North and South, and you have only 1 gyre which is called as a Majid gyre in the Indian Ocean. So these gyres are connected to all of these oceans, and all these floating particles that are there, they are brought and they keep circulating in this particular gyres. Okay, so Pacific Ocean is very important. Why Great Pacific Garbage Patch is important? Because in middle of this Great Pacific Garbage Patch, you have one island. It is called as Midway Island. Midway Island is important because you have these albatross. Have you seen an albatross? They are beautiful seabirds, and when they spread their wings, it is almost 3 meters. They are huge. When we go to Antarctica in ships, these people will keep hovering over the ships in search of food. Although it is told to us that we should not feed them because we are going to change their food habits. For them, their best food is the fish. Okay, so these albatross go to Midway Islands to hatch their eggs. And because this Midway Island is in between, in the center of this Great Garbage Pacific Patch, the island is severely polluted with plastics. And according to scientific studies, in 1974, 76% of the chicks were fed with plastics. 76%, 1974, we are talking about 1970. Today it is 100%. Because the mother chick will eat something from that particular thing, it does not know. Its food is basically the squid. Have you seen squids? The food of albatross is basically squid. And squid usually resembles like our plastic cap. Plastic cap. So the mother albatross will pick up thinking that it is eating a squid, but it is eating a plastic cap. And then they regurgitate. Regurgitate means they are bringing the contents from the stomach and it is transferred to the young chick. So when a group of biological scientists, they went to this Midway Island, they studied the dead remains of those chicks, they found huge amount of plastics. And those plastics were mainly resembling the squids, the shape of the squids. So that's how pathetic it has become for our environment. Okay, so with this I end my slide. This is a very important one. India's first manned ocean mission, that is called as Samudrayan. We have Chandrayaan, we had Mangalyaan, now we are into the Gaganyaan. The plan is to send human beings to the space. This is the next big mission which is already initiated, Samudrayan. So the plan over here is to create India's own submersible and select 2 scientists. I am not one of them. And those 2 scientists will be trained and they can go to the different depths of the Arabian Sea, Indian Ocean and the Bay of Bengal and study the sample. So the pilot expedition is supposed to take place in 2024. The name of this vessel is called as Matsya 6000. Okay. So with this few words, I would like to end my lecture. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you. So if you have any questions based on this talk, I'll be happy to announce, or else any questions, I will be happy to answer. I did not knew anything about geology. I was standing in the admission queue waiting to take PCM as a subject, thinking that I'll make a career out of that. But then we got the information that the seats in PCM are full. Then another friend said that PCG is an option. I asked him, what is PCG? So physics, chemistry, geology. Then I quickly told him, oh, is it something to do with National Geographic Channel or Discovery Channel? He said something of that sort. I said, okay, fine, since the seat is available, we'll take it up. But the first lecture that I sat for my geology class, I decided that I'm going to make a career for myself in the field of geology. Then I completed BSc Geology from Mumbai. I basically am from Kerala, but did my BSc in Mumbai, and then came to Mangalore University because I wanted to do something different. So I did Masters of Marine Geology from Mangalore University. Then I knew that if I have to make a further career, I had to go for a PhD. So I did PhD in same discipline where I studied about past climate. Then I went to National Center for Polar and Ocean Research, which is India's nodal agency if you want to do research in Antarctica. So as a part of that, 4 times I could go to Antarctica expeditions under those very harsh conditions. And it's only in 2016, because I was more passionate about teaching, I switched my field. So from the purely scientific field, I came to the academic field. And now for the past 5-6 years, I have been training my young students on MSc Geology, and also at the same time, I started research on plastics. Now, why plastics? Because when I was doing my postdoctoral stint at Goa, we did one SEM study. SEM is scanning electron micrography, where any small particle you can magnify it to almost 10,000 times. And when we observed a particular foram species from the Southern Ocean, we could find a small piece of plastic in it. These foraminifera are organisms which have got porous spaces. So within the porous spaces, a small piece of microplastic was stuck. Then I felt that it is something very interesting to see, and then when I joined Manipal, I took up this research. So now we have a dedicated team of environmental microplastics group, and we are now looking also at the Kota mangroves. Kota is supposed to be one of the most pristine regions, but then we are finding so much of microplastics there that the fish living in the Kota mangroves are at risk. Another scary thing that I would like to say, microplastics or nanoplastics are also there in the air that we breathe. You do one exercise. After you go to your home, take your mobile phone. If it has a black cover, keep it upside down and wait for 15 minutes. After 15 minutes, you will see that there are some particles that are deposited. In that, you will find some fiber. Okay, you will see some fiber piece. You take a hot needle, take a needle, heat it up and take it very close to the fiber particle. Don't allow it to touch your phone. And that plastic particle will spring up. It will not get eliminated. If it is an organic particle, it will get wiped off. But this plastic particle will just get crinkled. That's called as a hot needle test that we do even in our lab to identify if it is really a plastic or not. Okay. So these nanoplastics are inhaled by us. They sit in our lungs, and the chemicals that I told you some time back, they will leach out, causing harmful diseases to all of us. And research has gone to such a level that now microplastics or nanoplastics are even found in our blood. In the bloodstream, it is found, it has been reported in the placenta of the pregnant mother. It is also found, recent report is that it is also found in the breast milk of a mother. It is also found in the breast milk of a mother. Right, so if there are any questions after getting scared, you can.
And sir, I'm
Good afternoon.
Tanvira. So it is said that eutrophication takes place in the fresh water. So when eutrophication takes place, there are algal blooms. So is there anything like algal blooms in the oceans?
Yes.
Apart from red tides?
In the oceans, a good question over here. So in the oceans, you also have something called as the harmful algal blooms.
Okay.
Because you have these stormwater drains, you also have these industrial areas whose sewage outlet is into the oceans. Like if you go to the Netravati river itself, you will find a lot of industries that are exactly on the point of the where the river Netravati meets the ocean. So all those sewage waste, they say on paper that we are doing all these waste management practices, but we have seen from our very own eyes when we did field work that the sewage was going into the Arabian Sea. So when you have a lot of these sewage coming up, the entire physico-chemical processes get changed and you will have a type of species which will start growing. So they are also called as invasive species or exotic species. They are all called as harmful algal blooms. So we find these harmful algal blooms even in the oceans.
Sir, are red tides and algal blooms the same?
Say the same because of the color. They are red algae. Yeah. Mississippian River, which is traveling through the different breadths and lengths of the United States of America, and all that sewage is brought by the rivers and it has become a dead zone actually. Satellites are able to capture the signal, so it is considered as a dead zone. You do not find any type of organism growing in that particular.
Yes, any questions?
Either you have understood everything or you have not understood anything. Which one should I take? My both fingers were first one. Yesterday we had school students, so they were saying they were very happy when we called them for feedback session. They say that this is such a wonderful opportunity given to them that it is the first time in their life that they are seeing a scientist. And after that we had a session for them. We had selfie with scientists. So we had Sharma sir, myself and Krishna Prabha madam, Dr. Krishna Prabha madam, we all came together and all those youngsters, they came and they took autographs from us. They took photographs, selfies and etc. They were very excited. No autograph. One more thing I would like to say. If you want to reduce the usage of plastic, make use of hero pens. We all are making use of gel pens or ball pens. When the refill gets over, you go to the shop and you take a refill pen. That is all plastic. It's all getting wasted. This is a one-time investment. It costs only 80 rupees. Go to Vijaya Pen Mart in Mangalore. I'm marketing from them. You just have to refill it once. And it writes very well. So that's one way we can reduce the usage of plastics. The pen company will shut down. Its economy will go down the drain. But we have to be protective of our environment. Second example I'll tell you how we can reduce plastic. Sometimes we go to hotels to take parcels, right? Sometimes, but now we have Swiggy and Zomato, so they will bring in single-use containers. Instead of doing that, you go to that restaurant with empty containers, steel containers. If you want butter chicken, you take a big container, steel container, and give it to him. He will fill it. When we were kids, I was brought up in Mumbai. When we were kids, we used to go to dhaba, and that time they never used to give in these plastic containers. They used to tell, if you want takeaway, you get your own containers. And I used to go with my father with small 2, 3, 4 containers, steel containers. They used to fill it up. We used to bring it home and then eat it. But our insistence on plastic, we are now so much reliable on plastics that even your iCards are made up of plastics. But that is used for a particular purpose. But then there are so much of single-use plastics that are available today, even today. Despite the ban on July 1st, there is so much of single-use plastic still available that people still go to the shop, they will take it. Refuse. The 3 R's we all know: reduce, reuse, recycle. You add the 4th one, that is refuse. Say, I do not want. 5th is rethink our lifestyle. See if you can make a new lifestyle where your reliance on plastics is lesser. Okay, lesser. The industries will suffer, but don't worry about them. They will come up with another means of a new industry or something. All right, so any more questions? So I think the spot quiz will be very tough.
Interesting and informative. I thank Dr. Anish Kumar Warrior on behalf of everyone who present here. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Now it's time for lunch break. Go, have food, and assemble in the same room as soon as possible.
So you need to assess. Oh, you continue.
Just another 30 minutes, we will continue, okay?
All right. I am hungry actually. All right, so the rules of the quiz are, this is a spot quiz. We have 4 institutions today. I believe we have St. Aloysius College, we have Indira Nursing College, Srinivas Institute of Technology, Srinivas College of Education. St. Aloysius College, okay, you are in your uniforms. Indira Nursing College, that's the Bay of Bengal, this is the Arabian Sea. We have Srinivas Institute of Technology. I believe these are the budding teachers, Srinivas College of Education. All right, so we are going to ask you 6 questions. Each college will be asked 6 questions. Turn by turn, okay? And whoever gives the correct answer will win the prize. Okay? If you do not know the answer, it can be passed on to the next college. It will be displayed on the slide along with the multiple choice. Budding teachers, Srinivas College of Education. Okay, we go like this. Then we go to St. Aloysius, then we go to the next team, and then the next team. So that cycle will be clockwise instead of. We'll create a gyre over here in the Srinivas College. All right, ladies, the first question to you. Okay, choose a suitable example for the juvenile stage of the Wilson cycle. Example of an ocean which is the juvenile stage of the Wilson cycle. Hey, others, please be silent. Dead Sea, Red Sea, Mediterranean Sea, Pacific Ocean. Those are the choices.
Is it Pacific Ocean?
No. Within them only. They are still thinking. So. Srinivas College of Education. Very good. It is Red Sea. Ladies and gentlemen. So big round of applause. It's like we are having Golgappa. You get 6, right? Now I go to St. Aloysius. Okay. The second question. The question for you is, what is the size of microplastics? Is it less than 5 millimeters to 1 micrometer, 1 mm to 5 mm, less than 1 micrometer, none of the above? It is the turn of St. Aloysius. Mike.
Option A. Less than 5.
Very good. Less than 5 millimeters and greater than 1 micrometer. The technical guys, the Srinivas Institute of Technology. You are. Alright, sorry, Indira Nursing College. I don't want the gyre to get disturbed. Indira Nursing College, the Bay of Bengal of today's auditorium. The exclusive economic zone is present at dash nautical miles from the baseline. 100, 12, 200 or 150. Hey. You know the answer, take the mic and give the answer.
B12. $200.
200, correct. SIT. Okay. Srinivas Institute of Technology, your question is, dash are the masses of clastic sediments formed by weathering and erosion of primary rocks and transported from their original sources and redeposited elsewhere. Option: placer deposits, gas hydrate deposits, volcanogenic sulfide deposits, none of the above.
None of the above.
Pass. Next. Anybody in your group?
C.
Wrong. If not this, if not that, then last option is that. Pass. Very good. Placer deposits. So they get the prize. She gets the prize. Yeah. Only 2 chances will be given to a team. If you still give the wrong answer, it will be passed off. Okay. Yeah. To the ladies. Srinivas College of Education, your second Golgappa comes over here. What is the average depth of ocean? Take the mic. Huh?
A1.
A1, very good. 3,730 meters. That's the average depth. Aloysius, which country is the largest producer of tidal energy? No. India is miles behind in tidal energy.
South Korea.
Very good. South Korea. Ladies and gentlemen, what is the extent of mid-oceanic ridge in the world ocean? Silence, others please be silent. Indira College of Nursing. Very good. 75,000 kilometers. Would appreciate silence, please. Yeah. After the clapping is done, please remain silent. Ring-shaped coral reefs around an island is known as dash. Seamount, atoll, guyot or lagoon. Ring-shaped coral reefs. What? But ye. Okay. So you said? Huh? Wrong. Your second chance. You are from SIT? Please stand up. Yeah, say loudly. Very good. Correct. Next is, right? Yeah, Srinivas College of Education. Your question is, what is the full form of OTEC? Please be fair. The next question. Okay, what is the full form of OTEC?
Ocean Thermal Energy Conversion.
Very good. Next question to the alliance in the world can be found in which region? Bay of Bengal, Bay of Fundy, Campbell Bay, Peacock Bay. No googling please.
Bay of Bengal.
Bay of
Bengal.
Say loudly. Please stand up and say loudly.
Bengal alle. First A option.
Huh?
A option. Bay of
Bay of Bengal is the wrong answer. Second. Campbell, take the. I will consider only if you speak in the mic.
Campbell Bay.
That's the wrong answer. Pass. No, you are from Aloysius. Aloysius cannot. Aloysius is done. Indira College of Nursing.
Sir, B. D.
And that?
Peacock Bay.
Wrong. And it has got the world's largest tidal range. The tidal range is called as the difference between the low tide and the high tide. That's the tidal range, and it is the Bay of Fundy. Your question comes now. Which is the largest underwater waterfall in the world? Is it the Bering, the Park Strait, Taiwan Strait, or the Denmark Strait Cataract? Ladies, please switch off your mobile phones. I can see here.
Yes. Who want to answer this question?
Don't say A, B, C. Take the mic and stand up and then give the answer.
D.
D is the Denmark Strait Cataract, and it is the right answer. A flat-topped mountain submerged in the sea is known as dash. Take the mic and
B. Option B.
full marks. You want more tough or very easy? All right, the ladies over here. A very large marine tube worm which lives near hydrothermal vents is dash.
A. Vestimentiferan worms. Vestimentiferan worms.
Correct. Vestimentiferan worms. Aloysians. Yeah. What is the depth of Mariana Trench? Aloysians. Take the mic and stand.
Option A.
11,516 meters is the correct answer. Next, Indira Nursing College. Ore sediments are metalliferous sediments which contain dash % of iron. 30, greater than 30, 15, 15 to 20.
30% of iron.
Very good. Next question to the SITians. Which is the largest producer of tidal? Which state is the largest producer of tidal energy in India? Gulf of Mannar, Gulf of Kutch, Gulf of Khambat, and Gulf of Aden.
Sir, option B. Gulf of Kutch.
Very good. Who gave the answer?
Sir.
You are SITian? Okay. I was looking there because people are looking there. Okay. So to the ladies, epicenter of the 2004 Indian Ocean earthquake is at dash. Andaman Nicobar Island, Lakshadweep Island, Sumatra, Indonesia, Madagascar.
Sumatra, Indonesia.
Very good. Name the black colored potato like mineral deposits that grow.
Manganese nodule.
Oh, very good. He said it in very style, manganese nodule. To the nursing students, black smokers are responsible for dash. Massive, no murmuring.
Option D. Carbonate deposits.
Wrong.
Option A, manganese sulfide deposit.
Congratulations, you're right. To the Ascidians. Which algae shows a symbiotic relationship with the corals?
Option A.
Good. Last round. So only 4 questions are there. Alright. To the ladies here, corals are seen in dash. Where do we find corals? Deeper depth of tropical sea, deeper depth of polar ocean, shallow depth of tropical sea, or the shallow depth of estuary?
Option C. Shallow depth of.
Very good. We do not find corals in the polar regions because the sea water temperature is very low, and corals require temperature of around 20 to 28 degrees Celsius to survive. Very good. And the last question for the Aloysians, wherever the Aloysians are located, please raise your hands. I'll find out there is one Aloysian sitting here. Sir. Okay, the question to you is, Minamata disease or Minamata tragedy occurred due to which toxic elements? Cadmium, arsenic, mercury, zinc.
Mercury.
Very good. To the nursing graduates, going to be graduates. Wave energy plant in Kerala. Very good. And to the Ascidians, your last question for today is, how much amount of excess heat is absorbed by ocean in the climate system? 60, 72, 90 or 88? Yeah, SIT.
90%. 90%.
Very good. Was it interesting or you want more? The prizes are over. But. Huh? Fine. But I will have to do brainwashing with my students to find out more questions and answers. Yesterday was fun. Yesterday schools, 27 schools were there. And it was a very tight battle. We conducted a prelims. So out of 25 marks, there were some schools which scored 18 out of 25. And we selected 5 schools and then we conducted rounds, 4 rounds. And finally, a Kannada medium school won the prize, the first prize for the general knowledge. So unfortunately, we do not have the time and the resources to do a similar thing for you guys. But maybe in future, my number is there with sir, so we can call. We can do a quiz anytime. Okay. So thank you very much for participating. And now since I am hungry. Okay. Okay. One last question. There is one prize available. I don't want to take it home, so I'll. All right. The question is, anybody can answer. Okay. Anybody raise your hand and answer. But you want the choices also? Okay. The question is, please listen carefully. Which water body separates the Andaman and Nicobar Islands? Which water body separates the Andaman and Nicobar Islands? Options? Options? I hope your Google is off.
The 10-degree channel.
Very good. Woo! What's your name?
Yashi Priya.
Big round of applause to her. Okay, it's a 10-degree channel which separates the Andaman and the Nicobar Islands. Participating in the talk and also in the quiz, I personally enjoyed it a lot, and hopefully we can conduct many such quizzes next time.
Definitely, sir.
Thank you, and if you have any doubts, queries, I am here there for the next couple of hours. You are free to come and discuss about anything. Thank you very much. I also thank my students, Alan, Anushri and Manu, for helping me in the last 2 days in the tremendous amount of searching that we had to do to prepare these questions. Okay? Thank you once again.
Hope you all are enjoyed the open house quiz. Thank you one and all. We'll move to lunch. So after the lunch, we'll again assemble here only. Thank you.